that concludes this evening's hearing. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ann Savage, and I'm the president of the City School District of Albany Board of Education. On behalf of the board, I welcome you to our meeting. I am joined tonight in person around this table by Board Clerk Tanya Bowie, Board Member Hassan El-Manyawi, Board Member Damaris Mann, who stepped out for a moment, Board Member Shatur, who is our secretary to the board, Vice President Vicki Smith, Board Member Tabitha Wilson, Board Member Ellen Krejci at the end, Superintendent of Schools Kawita Adams, Interim Deputy Superintendent of Business Affairs, the longest title, John Yagilski is with us tonight, as is our counsel, Paul Alloy. So thank you all for being here in person. We have many, many members of the district staff and the superintendent's cabinet here with us virtually as well. This meeting is being live streamed, and the instructions to view the meeting are available at albanyschools.org/BOE for this meeting and all future meetings. We will show all the relevant slides and documents here on these large screens. They also will come up in the virtual meeting. Those are also available at albanyschools.org/BOE if you'd like to reach the slides yourself. You will also notice that we, as always in our school district, are following the recommended COVID precautions, which at this time do not require masks, but we encourage those who choose to mask to wear them as they see fit. If you are here tonight to speak in public comment, you need to see Ms. Bowie and sign up. That is how you get on the list for public comment. And if you are not here for public comment, we welcome you anyway. With that introduction, we invite those of you who choose to join with us as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. In addition to the Pledge of Allegiance, we always focus our meeting by restating the mission of the City School District of Albany, which is to work in partnership with our diverse community to engage every learner in a robust educational program designed to provide the knowledge and skills necessary for success. Superintendent Adams, do you have a report for us?
Absolutely. Good evening, and thank you, Madam President, members of the board. June is Pride Month, when we celebrate and honor. This is a time when we celebrate and honor our nation's LGBTQ community, LGBTQ community, and commemorate the anniversary of the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in New York City. This month, our school district, in partnership with the Albany Public School Teachers Association and the Albany School Gay Straight Alliance, will recognize the many accomplishments and contributions made by the LGBTQ people throughout history. We also will have information and age-appropriate discussions about gender identity and inclusivity throughout the month. A significant number of LGBTQ people have changed and are changing history in their fields. Sally Ride, Alan Turing, James Baldwin, Leonardo da Vinci, Alicia Garza, Langston Hughes, and Albany's own Barbara Smith. The list goes on and on. We celebrate and honor their work and their lives. We would like to highlight a couple of upcoming activities in which our district will celebrate Pride Month. Next Thursday, we will join ABSTA in co-sponsoring an LGBTQA+ book tasting PD from 4 to 6 p.m. On Sunday, June 12th, our district will take part in the Capitol Pride Parade in Washington Park. I'm looking forward to joining the ABSTA members and students from Albany High's GSA and many others to celebrate this event. We also will be sharing additional information and resources for our employees and families, including a video that our Albany High GSA students have created with suggestions for teachers on building gender-inclusive classrooms. As a follow-up to the information that we have shared regarding the Albany High School girls track and field team at our May 19th meeting, we have continued to investigate and review all aspects of this matter over the past 2 weeks. District and school administrators have held multiple meetings with student athletes. This included a May 23rd meeting in which team members provided their input regarding changes that they would recommend for our student and athletic codes of conduct related to student attire. That input was included in the student code of conduct review meeting that we held last evening. We did not have attendees at the stakeholder meeting last night, but we will share the feedback that we received from the student athletes with the policy committee for its upcoming review on June 15th. Following that policy committee meeting, we will schedule another meeting with the members of the girls track team to receive their additional feedback. From that point, the process will continue and include a review and discussion of the proposed student code of conduct by the full board at our July 7th meeting. We anticipate approval of the 22-23 student code of conduct at the board's July 21st meeting. We will continue to get feedback along the way, and we encourage the voices of our stakeholders to be heard and valued. Our district defines, actualizes, and is in the process of operationalizing equity in our processes and procedures. We strongly support the rights of our students to advocate for what they believe in and to advocate for meaningful change. This is the process that we encourage. We even assist our students in making their voices heard and ensuring that they are valued. We maintain these best practices through the instructional process and in our committee work. Knowing that everyone does not have all of the information in this matter is a challenge. Based on the various perspectives, we may all have shaped and formed our own opinions. Like all school districts, we are bound by FERPA, which is the Family Educational Rights of Privacy Act, and Personnel and Employee Confidentiality. Our review continues to move forward in the 3 categories of student behavior, dress code, and the administrative process. As we have stated, since this matter occurred, all athletic suspensions from the one event were related to inappropriate student conduct and not the dress code violation. Consequences were aligned with the student code of conduct. The students have requested a review of the suspension letters, and this review is being conducted through my office. As noted a few moments ago, our administrators have engaged members of the girls track and field team in multiple discussions about changes that they would recommend to the student and athletic codes of conduct. Again, the recommendations will be shared and reviewed in alignment with our policy committee review process. The process concerns have been brought to our attention in several parent meetings, specifically related to equity among teams and the notification process. We have discussed the behavioral concerns with parents, and we have held individual parent meetings on request to discuss their specific concerns. Should we need to address personnel matters, we will do so through our human resources process. It has been reported in our investigation that there is a perception that our track and field coaches have somehow behaved inappropriately or in an inappropriate manner. Based on our investigation, there is no evidence of any kind that supports that any of our coaches were inappropriate toward any of our student athletes, and that line of discussion is misinformed and unfounded. In response to the recent symbols of hate that our school district has addressed, with the Confederate flag at Albany High and anti-Semitic symbols at district offices, we met with representatives from the Anti-Defamation League last week to discuss ways to expand the No Place for Hate program in our district. Albany High School is already certified as a No Place for Hate school. Stephen and Harriet Myers Middle School are taking the steps to earn that certification. Our plan for next school year is to work with our building leaders to expand No Place for Hate certification to all of our schools. In addition to complementing our district-wide efforts to operationalize equity, the No Place for Hate program aligns with our goals of cultivating student leadership, student voice, uniting our school community around principles and values we teach, and engaging students, faculty, and staff in active learning. It is an exceptional program that is right for all of our schools in our district and right for our times. We are looking forward to working together with the ADL and this important effort in the months ahead. I would like to send a shout out to several of our district athletic teams and student athletes on their successes during the spring season. Albany High tennis standout Masami Surisawa, is competing in the state tournament following his third place finish in Section 2. Masami was the number 1 seed in the sectionals and advanced to the semifinals for a second year in a row. Please. He suffered through a three-set loss in the semis, but rebounded with a resounding straight set win in the consolation final to earn his spot at states. The state tournament got underway today at the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in Flushing. The tournament continues through Saturday, and we wish Masami the best of luck in his matches. Our modified baseball team also had an exceptional season, including a 10-game winning streak in the Suburban Council. This terrific achievement of our student athletes and testament of their dedication, teamwork, and competitive spirit. I would like to congratulate Coach John McKnight and the team's student athletes on their achievements. Albany High's unified basketball team also won its division championship earlier this week with a 43-38 win over Shenandoah. The Falcons advanced to the final with a win over South Glen Falls last week. Congratulations to Coach Joe Burke and our student athletes on bringing home the title. Thank you. I also note with pride that our unified team's win makes us 3 for 3 this school year in basketball playoff games against Shen. I'll have to make sure that I talk to Dr. Robinson about that. A few reminders for our families as we look ahead to the final weeks of school. The American Heart Association Heart Walk is Sunday, June 5th. The last day of classes for Albany High and Tony Clement Center of Education is Tuesday, June 14th. Region exams will be given June 15th through 23rd. All of our schools and offices will be closed Monday, June 20th, in observance of Juneteenth. Juneteenth is also known as Freedom Day. Juneteenth is the oldest nationally observed commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States. This celebration honors the day of June 19, 1865, when the Union Army General Gordon Granger landed in Galveston, Texas, with the news that the Civil War had ended and that all slaves were free. At that time, Texas was the last state in the Confederacy where institutional slavery still existed. Excuse me. This is the first year that our district has observed Juneteenth as an official holiday, following President Biden's designation last year of Juneteenth as a federal holiday. Throughout our district, our teachers will be leading lessons on the historical significance of Juneteenth and a wide range of related topics. We're also looking forward to working with our local media to share these important conversations and activities with our community. The last day of school for all elementary and middle school students will be a full day of instruction on Thursday, June 23rd. Moving up ceremonies for 8th graders at our 3 middle schools will be held on Friday, June 24th. 8th graders at Albany International Center will participate in their moving up ceremony on Thursday, June 23rd. Graduation for the Albany High class of 2022 will be held Sunday, June 26th. And this is very important because we've had to have a location change. As you know, we were supposed to be at the Armory, but the Armory does not have air conditioning. And so we will be at the Palace Theater beginning at noon. We will have more information about Albany High's graduation in tonight's district update. For more information about the last days of school, including information about our elementary moving up ceremonies, please visit your school's webpage at albanyschools.org. I would like to now welcome Major David Erickson from the Albany High JROTC program to the microphone. Albany High has had 3 students selected to participate in the prestigious Boys State program this summer. Yes. This is a great honor for our students and our high school. Also, it is the only one in the region to have 3 students selected this year. So I would like to turn the program over to Major Erickson to tell us more about the Boys State program and introduce us to our students who will be participating this summer.
Thank you for having us here. Thank you for having us here tonight, Ms. Adams and the board. What I'm going to do is tell you about Boys State. I'm going to let the boys over here introduce themselves. The thing they do in JROTC is do some public speaking, and I'll introduce Mrs. Farley, who's one of the Gold Star moms. So Boys State is a program sponsored by the American Legion. What they do is they send about 1,000 boys off to Morrisville State University for a week, and they learn how government is supposed to work. Maybe not how it works, but how it's supposed to work. I like to tell the boys it all the time. And they divide them into 2 parties, the orange and the purples, for whatever reason. They elect everything from the dog catcher up to the governor. And one of the highlights for Albany High was 3 years ago. We had 5 boys go that year, and 2 of them best friends. And one went to the orange party, one went to the purple party, and they were both nominated to be the governor for their party. So Albany High had the governor that year. And what I liked it, I think what bottom line Boys State what it teaches, when Emmanuel Tay came back, I said, Emmanuel, you're going to go someplace in life, because the 2 of you came back as friends. That's the most important thing. They ran a pretty good campaign. They really didn't know much about politics before they went. I said, Emmanuel, you got all the people from downstate to vote for you. You got all the people from upstate to vote for you. We know there's some differences there. And you're the African-American immigrant kid from Liberia. So that's what Boys State teaches, how it's supposed to work. It's a great program. And I'm really happy to, proud to say that Albany High is once again, like Mrs. Adams said, more than any other public school in Albany County, which is a great thing. I also should state that it's not a JROTC thing. It's open to every student in the school. And I go to the guidance office, they help me get names. It's kind of funny, a lot of times the same names that I have picked, they give me the same name, but we're working to get even more students next year. Other thing I'd like to just say is this is possible because the North Albany American Legion Post sponsors us, and they pay, the boys pay nothing for this. As a matter of fact, I shouldn't tell you guys this now, but North Albany usually gives you a little bit of spending money when you're down there. So they pay the whole bill. They only support 2 kids. So what happens is other groups in the community always come forward. And this year, the Gold Star mothers came forward and they paid for another student. And the Marine Corps League has offered to pay. The Tri-County Council of Vietnam Era Veterans. So a lot of veterans and civic groups. If we have more students, they usually cover them for us. So without further ado, what I want to do is I want the 3 students here to introduce themselves and tell them a little bit about themselves. And then I'm going to ask Mrs. Farley to talk about the Gold Star moms real quick and explain that. So I'll start with the Kevin Cam, because Kevin's one of our 3 candidates to be our new cadet colonel for next year. So this is a great interview process for him. Kevin, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Kevin Cam. I go to Albany High School. I only know 1 language, English, and oh, sorry. So the reason why I joined JROTC was because I saw that it helped a lot in the community. I also like the uniforms, and it just seemed like a good program to stay in. And then why I stayed, mainly the community. It's like a full family. Like you meet a lot of cool people, get to go on nice trips, and meet people from like different places. And then I guess plans after high school. I plan to go into nursing.
Those questions, whenever they go in public, I always make them tell what school they're from. I think that's very important because they think they're from another school all the time. I'm getting tired of that. And then who they are. So that's why Kevin's answering those questions. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Xavier Smith. I go to Albany High. I'm from Albany, New York. I know 1.5 languages. Why I joined was to work on my confidence, public speaking, and just overall confidence. And the reason I stayed was because, like Kevin said, just the community, just amazing. And my plans after high school, I'm gonna go into college for 3 years. I'm gonna join the ROTC for the college of choosing. And then I'm gonna do a double major in bioengineering and business science.
Hi, my name is Phys Ed, and I'm from Albany High. And I speak Karen. That's another language I speak. Why I joined Jrotc is because my friends actually got me into Jrotc. I also have a sister who got me to join. Why I stayed is because the community and all the programs like Raiders and PT. I like those programs. My plans after high school is I plan to take a gap year and go into the real world to see what I like.
Ms. Farley, you could just plug it.
Yes, thank you very much for having me here tonight. Just a little background. I'm an American Gold Star mother. A Gold Star mother is a mother who lost a child while serving in the military. My son, Staff Sergeant Derek John Farley, was killed in Afghanistan. And that started my journey here. The camaraderie, the experience with being with other mothers is like no other experience. Our mission is to continue to support our military and to allow our American folks not to lose the fact and remember all of the losses and sacrifices of the families. With that, we've gained some really amazing relationships with this young group of JROTs. They're our future. We've supported many years currently with this JROTC program. We've sent girls also to their program. Very important. They learn civic messages. As he said, this is really an amazing experience. Many kids never go away from their homes. So it's a great experience to jumpstart for college if they choose to go away. It's very nice. And then they come back and they share that knowledge. So it's very important that we take care of these young. They have come to our convention, danced with our elder moms. The moms love to be with the young. We feed them as moms do, and these relationships are priceless. Thank you.
So, and I first had any question for the boys here or Mrs. Farley?
We honestly have so many questions that we couldn't possibly ask them all given our limited time, but we really appreciate your being here. I know Dr. Tatur marched with you on Monday and I was there as well. I know the superintendent was there and maybe some others hiding in the crowd. It was wonderful to see you represent Albany High so well at that parade. So we appreciate you and we appreciate your remarks and all you've done. Gold Star Mom is a heartbreaking moment. So
Just to close, and I just want to really thank all of you. I truly mean that. It's great the support you guys give, the board gives, the community gives. And I really think JROTC is something that doesn't just belong to Albany High School, it belongs to the city of Albany. So, anything you need from us, please let us know. Just thanks once again. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
very
so
much. Major, if you all will stay, we will take a moment to take photos with the board, please. Come on.
So I just want to throw one more plug in if you'd like. Next Thursday night, the 9th is our awards night / promotion night. We got about 30 different outside activities, groups coming in, and plus we get to promote the kids. If you can make it, you're more than welcome to be there. And all you have to do is when you show up, give me your name, and I plug your name in to give out awards. All you do is smile. So all you do is smile. No one will complain to you anything. Oh yeah, it's at 6 o'clock at the Zaloga American Legion post, which is in 4 Everett Road, right on the corner here. Right, and as you get there, just make sure I know you're there, so I'll just put your name in. Yeah, because with the high school, we're not doing it yet because the auditorium's still closed. But hopefully next year we'll be back. I know we'll be back in next year. So thank you once again. I got to stop because Mrs. Adams got a timer on me. She knows I talk too much.
Thank you so much, Major. All is appreciated. And congratulations again, young men. We are so very proud of you. It is my pleasure now to introduce Thomas O'Brien, Academy of Science and Technology Principal Sophia Noel, to tell us about the great things happening at her school this year and also introduce her team.
Good evening, school board. Good evening, Superintendent Adam. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Sophia Noel, and I'm the building principal of TOAST. Alongside me, I have my assistant principal, Megan Delasanto, and I also have my community site coordinator, Kayla Townsend. And so we just want to say thank you for allowing us this opportunity to highlight our school today. So, as you see, just introduced ourselves, right? And so, so the next slide is the district mission and vision statement. And we're not going to go into great detail because we all know that everyone knows the mission and vision statement of the district. But I just want to share with you that our mission and vision statement for TOAST definitely aligned with the district mission and vision statement.
So TOAST's vision is to be a community school that provides equitable educational opportunities and cultivates nurturing relationships within a safe environment for all students to be successful. And our mission statement is to educate our school community through learning strategies that reinforce curiosity, discovery, observation, problem solving, inquiry, and creativity across the discipline. At TOAST, we have the privilege to serve 281 students, grades pre-K to 5. We have 1 pre-K classroom. We are 2 deep in grades kindergarten through 4th grade, and we're 3 deep in 5th grade. We have 4 self-contained classrooms, 3 of them being 812 ED classrooms, and 1 being a 1511 LD classroom. Our student population, we have 13% of our population are students with disabilities. 69% of our population is economically disadvantaged, and 12% of our population are ELL learners. Our ethnic backgrounds are 44% of our student population are Black, 13% are Hispanic, 10% are white, 22% are Asian, and 11% are multiracial.
Next slide is going to focus on our SEP focus and highlights. In ELA, TOAST is focusing on guiding students through the reading complex text and responding to text-dependent questions. In math, TOAST is focusing on learning standards and math teaching practices, specifically establish goals and implementing tasks that promote reasoning and problem solving through math language routines such as 3-read, and also we moving towards an LED model as well. For attendance, our goal is to have fewer than 14.8% students chronically absent. Over the past few months, we have been able to lower the percentage of our chronically absent students.
The challenges that we just wanted to go over are number 1, finding substitutes, and really difficult to find adequate sub coverage for our teachers. And then number 2, since we are a magnet school, transportation tends to be a challenge, even though it produces our vast diversity, but it can lead to attendance barriers because we accept students from all over the
So at this time, we would like to share some of our successes this year. And one of our success is the growth in regards to our community school partners. And I will have my community school coordinator talk about that at this time.
As a community school, we are thankful to our community partners for the programs and services that they have provided to our students and their families during the school day as well as after school. 2 program highlights include our work with Trinity Alliance and RPI. RPI Engineering Ambassadors conducted an after-school engineering club, and Trinity Alliance provided on-site free tax filing assistance for our families. Another success this year was our morning announcements. Morning announcement videos are shown daily to the school. Our 5th grade students wrote the scripts and acted as morning anchors. Our anchors made a video for this presentation, which we would like to show you now.
We also would like to shout out Erin Harrell, our homeschool coordinator, and Kim Reynolds, our music teacher, who have been like co-producers of this project. And so I just would like to highlight them as well.
Good evening, board members. My name is Ambrose, and I'm in Miss Chanick's 5th grade class here at Toast. We've interrupted your meeting tonight to bring you a special report so that you can learn how awesome Toast is. Hey, Cassidy, what do you think they should know?
Thanks, Ambrose. Hi, everyone. My name is Cassie, and I'm Mrs. Shoup's class here at Toast. The first thing you should know about Toast is that we are a STEAM school. It's like STEM, but we know how important the arts are, too. Some of our STEAM projects this year were Guess the Mixture, Protect the Ping Pong, and the Water Cycle Roll. Hey, Tong, what do you think everybody should know about Toast?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tong, and I'm in Miss Richards' 5th grade class. Here at Toast, we have a lot of community partners. We work with Jrotc in the garden, have the DEC Conservation Club, and the RPI Engineering Ambassadors, 4 Family, and 15 Love. My favorite community partner is the Boys and Girls Club. I have so much fun with them after school. Hey Daniel, what was your favorite thing we did this year?
Hello, my name is Daniel and I'm in Mrs. Richards' class. I think my favorite thing was our time with the Microsoft employees. We met once virtually and then we had a chance to have someone come to talk to us in person. They talked to us about different careers options of Microsoft and let us ask questions that we had. We were very lucky that Mr. Wild set that up for us. Or maybe it was the VR field trips. Mr. Rel took us to the moon, Mars, Jupiter, and then we went all around the world.
Guys, what about the bots in music class? We worked together to compose a song and then use coding to make Dash play our composition.
Oh yeah, even the kindergartners had a chance to use the Dash and the xylophones. We got to use the Ozo bots in coding club too.
I think we're forgetting something.
We are?
Yeah, the biggest thing we did this year.
It's getting through the school year?
No, the announcements.
How could we forget that? We wrote the scripts, we learned about holidays, and our words of the day.
We also told some really terrible jokes. And we researched so many different places in the world for where in the world is Miss Reynolds.
We learned about microphones and green screens and how to edit and audio. And we worked with our public speaking, slow and clear.
Well, that's all we have time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our special report.
If you'd like to learn more about us, please come and visit. And don't forget, make today so awesome that yesterday is jealous.
So very much. What an inspiring video, and thank you for all the great work that you do for our students at Toast. We really appreciate you. Thank you. So that concludes our superintendent's report, and I will move right into our district update. And tonight, as we always start with our vision, mission, and goals, so that we are making sure that all of our decisions are founded in aspiring to meet our vision, using our mission statement to ensure that we are working in partnership with our diverse community and engaging our students in robust educational programs so that we can achieve our goals. Tonight's topics through our discussion discussion topics through our district update. We'll just give you an update about COVID-19. We'll talk about our textbook loan program and kind of give you an update as to where we are right now with that. Our middle school feeder enrollment planning updates, and then the high school graduation information. And I'll be sharing this presentation with Ms. McKenna and also Mr. Yogowski to answer any questions as appropriate. So COVID update, we are up to 1,908 positive cases being reported, 1,354 students, 359 faculty, and 195 staff. In May, our average daily rate for positives is 12.9 and second most new cases in a month during the pandemic. So it's very important that we understand and know that while we experienced low numbers in late February and March, that the numbers have been increasing in April and now in May. And these are the same things that we're seeing across the county. And so we just want to make sure that we keep aware of COVID is still here. We need to still take our appropriate precautions. We encourage our families to make sure that they're prepared with backup plans in the event that we need to transition to distance learning. As we move forward, the exposure piece, these are our current protocols. These are the same protocols that we've had for several months, so I will not read them to you, but I think it's still important to know that when a person tests positive and there is someone who is identified to be exposed, that we are no longer quarantining. We still make sure that families are notified that that their child has been exposed, and we still have enough test kits that we can send home test kits with the child to our families. Bless you. Our vaccine information, we keep this current with the websites that are available so that our families can schedule vaccines for their children. If you've been watching the news, you know that in the upcoming weeks, there will be a vaccine for 6 months through 4 years old. And so we will keep you posted as a board with regard to that information and how it impacts us here in Albany and how it impacts us, especially with our pre-K program. Textbook loan program, we know that this was an area that we have been challenged with, and we have looked to streamline that process. And you can see the laws that require all school district boards to purchase and loan textbooks in an equitable manner to all pupils residing in the school district who are attending kindergarten through 12th grade. And this is for any public or non-public school. And so we know that parents are responsible for requesting the loan of textbooks. We coordinate with our non-public schools, our privates and charters. We do coordinate with them with regard to how this process will work. If you look at our district participation, there's just a few numbers for you so that you can see what we're looking at. Private schools in Albany, we have 13 schools that we would supply books to. That would be 688 students. Private schools outside of Albany, 33 with 307 students. Our charter schools, 8 charter schools for 2,203 students for a total of 3,198 students. The process is that the books are loaned in August and September. The books are typically returned June and July. What we have now, we have dates that we have established. Our return book site is Arbor Hill Elementary School, 1 Arbor Drive, and the following dates are when we will be getting the return books on Monday, June 27th from 8 to noon, Tuesday, June 28th from noon to 4, and then Wednesday, July 6th from 8 till noon. This is all that we have right now, but we will be working with our non-publics and privates and sharing out more information and details about this process so that we can make sure that we have a much smoother process this year. And so these are the dates. Our middle school feeder enrollment planning, I will turn it over to Ms. McKenna to cover the last slides of the middle school feeder enrollment and the high school graduation information. Ms. McKenna?
Great. Thank you, Superintendent Adams. Good evening, everyone. Our middle school theater enrollment planning is well on its way. We are just wrapping up with our middle school leaders and school counselors visiting our elementary schools. We have one more school to go to visit next week, and then all 5th grade classrooms at our elementary schools will have met their upcoming principal and school counselor for next year. We just released our open enrollment form on June 1st. It's on our website, and we also have paper copies of that open enrollment form in each one of our elementary and middle schools. June 15th, we will have a middle school information night for all families at each one of our middle schools, where they will learn about their new middle school. In August, we have lots going on. I will be reviewing on a regular basis throughout the summer the open enrollment applications, as well as middle school enrollment in grades 6 through 8, and then making decisions based on the number of slots available at each grade level, and determine whether or not we have availability for families to enroll based on the open enrollment application process. During the weeks of August 15th or the 22nd, depending on the middle school, summer transition camps will be offered for any new student to the building in grades 6 through 8. And again, depending on the building, it will either be a 3-day transition camp or a 5-day transition camp. And then finally, during August, we will offer a parent information night for all families, and we're in the process of identifying the transition camp dates and the parent information night in the week of August 22nd. And the transition camp really is dependent on staffing, so we gave them some flexibility on those 2 weeks. In September, the first 2 days, September 1st and 2nd, are for student orientation days. September 1st, we will have all 6th graders in the building for orientation, and then on September 2nd, we will welcome our 7th and 8th graders for orientation. Our Albany High graduation, lots of planning has gone into this, and we're finalizing our plans. Lawn signs are available, as we have done the last several years, and students can pick up their lawn sign in their academy principal's office through June 14th during the last period of their school day. I say last period of their school day because some students have early release. We also work with CDTA, Ron and Mr. Jrotc, to get our celebratory posters up for the CDTA shelters in 20 locations around the city. So be on the lookout for those as you're driving through the city. Our honor cord distribution, our seniors can pick those up the week of June 6th, which is Monday, from the advisor or the administrator in charge of that specific club, honor society, or group. Cap, gown, and ticket distribution will be on Monday, June 13th during period 9. And this will be a mandatory meeting for all of our seniors. I do want to make a note that each graduating senior will receive 3 tickets for the Palace. We do have to limit the number of guests that each graduate is allowed. Senior Field Day is coming up in a couple of weeks, Tuesday, June 14th, for the last 2 periods of the day. Our last day of classes is June 14th, followed by the Regents exams, June 15th through the 23rd. So we have a busy month coming up. Graduation day is Sunday, June 26th. We will hold our graduation ceremony at the Palace Theater on Clinton Avenue. The graduation ceremony will begin at noon, and all graduates should arrive no later than 11:15 so we can get them lined up and ready for graduation. We will offer shuttle buses this year. We do know that parking is a challenge in the Palace Theater vicinity. And so we will have shuttle buses running from 7 of our schools to the Palace and then returning to each of those schools following the ceremony. Just a little bit of information on those shuttle buses. Each bus will leave the school promptly at 11 o'clock. Graduates and guests, we're asking to arrive by 10:45 so we can leave promptly at 11 a.m. Each bus will return again to that same location after the ceremony. And then we are asking for RSVPs. So we do need families to sign up if they're planning on riding a shuttle bus, and you can see that link right there on the presentation. Superintendent Adams?
Thank you so very much, Ms. McKenna. At this time, we'll open it up for questions from the board.
So board colleagues, as is our usual practice, I ask you to try and prioritize your questions. Ask your most important one first. We can always go around a second time, but we try and give everybody the chance to ask their first question before we move on to the second round. There are 4 topics on the agenda tonight: COVID-19, textbook loans, middle school feeder enrollment planning, and graduation and end of year activities at Albany High. Does anybody have any questions on the COVID-19 updates? I think that material is often 2 questions, one from Ms. Wilson and then Ms. Creechy. Go ahead.
Thank you for your presentation. I was reading that there was, of course, a subvariant of Omicron that did cause an explosion of cases across New York State. And although I'm sure that it's trending down as I was reading, I did read also that the recently vaccinated and boosted were not subject to the same. Is that something that we have as well as a rule? Like they're not subject to the same rules?
Our protocols for school districts are the same.
Okay.
They've not been changed by State Ed or the Department of Health.
Board Member Creechy. I just wanted to comment that I actually learned recently that the federal government is offering people another 8 COVID tests if they sign up online. So that might be a nice thing to add to next update so people know they can get more tests, but also if a parent or somebody associated with the school wanted a COVID test, would they be able to get one from the school?
Yes, because we have numerous, we're still receiving our deliveries of COVID tests, but we can also, in addition to updating for our next board meeting, we can just push that information out, as a web story that this is also available if you want to get more tests. You can order them online, they're free, but also at our schools.
It'd be great to let people know how they can get tests, since that's one thing we do help them. Board Member Smith.
Thank you, Superintendent. Just had a question. I had a text earlier this week, actually from a couple of people asking about whether there were still availability of supplies like sanitizer, and also the extent to which schools were still being cleaned in the same, with the same intensity and in the same fashion that
We're still implementing our same protocols. Those have not changed. If you recall, when we did our maintenance and operation update, the materials that are required for COVID, we are continuing to use those same materials. So we've not changed that. If hand sanitizer is needed, if parents would like hand sanitizer, through our community outreach with Kathy Edmondson and our communications division, we have numerous bottles of hand sanitizer that if they would like to, they can contact our communications division, and we're happy to provide them with hand sanitizer.
Thank you.
Moving on to textbooks, Dr. Jrotc.
Just another PSA, if you're above 50 or anybody above 50 is eligible for their second booster, and it doesn't have to be the same shot that you took before. You can mix and match. And if you are eligible, it is advisable to get it because it does improve your immunity against these new variants.
I'm sorry, I thought you were moving on textbooks. So anybody else on COVID? Okay, now textbooks, Ms. Smith.
Superintendent, just another question I had. Schools, non-public schools, private schools, etc., can also request technology from the district. Is that correct? And do we have generally a lot of requests for technology from those schools?
I would defer to Mr. Baker, but I'm not aware of numerous cases where it's the technology The textbooks is our largest connection.
Typically, the dispersions of technology to our non-public or charter schools are arranged through services as part of a group with the business office. There are rarely, and to my knowledge, since I've been here in this position for 5 years, ever any direct requests made of my office for any type of end user infrastructural technology.
Middle school feeder enrollment planning. Board members, Wilson.
Thank you. I was just curious about the modes of communication we were using to advise families about the open enrollment forms being available in the middle school information nights.
Ms. McKenna, did you want to address that, please?
I can, and then I would ask Mr. Lesko to add anything that I may have missed. We are using our typical communication channels that we use for all other communication, Facebook, School Messenger, and I think those are really our two primary methods of communication. We can certainly look at doing robocalls to get the word out as well, but it's really Facebook, our district website, and School Messenger.
Thank you. I only asked because I know there was some expressed public interest in open enrollment. I imagine those who were interested are watching and waiting, but just curious about the level that we permeated. Thank you.
I have a question, which is, can you talk a little bit about the process for folks who are not fifth grade students within the district? We noticed as we were doing the feeder effort that we have a significant number of new enrollees at sixth grade. Is that something they just, go to central registration, or are they eligible for these sorts of transition camps? Can you just talk about our new enrollees?
Yeah, so any new student to the district is eligible to participate in any of our activities this summer, as long as they're registered for the 22-23 school year. So any student, for example, I'll use the summer transition camp for new incoming students. If they are registered, we will be reaching out and sending information so they can sign up for that summer transition camp, for example.
So families should definitely reach out to the district as early as they can, rather than waiting till, say, September 1st to let us know that they plan to attend.
Correct, yes.
Anyone else? I have a second question, but I'll defer to somebody else. I just wanted to make sure I understood that the absence of information about shadowing is that you're not planning to do shadowing this year.
We are not planning on doing shadowing this year.
Okay, thank you very much. And then the fourth topic was end of year activities at Albany High. Any questions on that, Ms. Wilson?
Thank you. I understand it's a new location, so there's 3 tickets and a limited seatings. And I know that when we had it the last time we had a graduation, it was at Albany High, and non-ticketed parties lined up along the fence. Are we directing people to just not show up to the Palace because they won't be admitted? I'm just curious about overflow or any extra non-ticketed parties.
Yeah, if they do not have a ticket, they will not be allowed to enter the Palace. However, as we've done each year, we will be live streaming the graduation ceremony. So those who do not have a ticket will be able to view the graduation via live stream.
Board Member Grady.
So I just had a question, and it's going forward, what are our thoughts on graduation location and ceremony type for 2023? What can we do to lock down a location that's got more than 3 tickets per graduate and make sure that it's an appropriate place for students to graduate?
So we're already in the process of working with MVP, because usually we do these a year in advance. And so, and again, you have to recall that this is due to COVID with regard to larger venues and things like that. And we were anticipating being able to do the outdoor event, but from the input of our students, they wanted to really do something where all of them could graduate at the same time. And so in recognizing that, that was when we went to the Armory, but then we found out that they did not have air conditioning. And as our temperatures are rising, that would not be very comfortable. And so we were very appreciative of being able to partner with the Palace so that we could have all of our students graduating at the same time. And that does limit the number of guests that we could have. But again, we're doing the live streaming, but in preparation for next year, we've already started working with MVP Arena so that we can make sure that we at least have our date set with them so that we could have the larger venue and not have to worry about the number of tickets that people would have. But also, we have to remember we're still in COVID. And so should anything change about large gatherings, we'd have to be flexible with that. But at this time, we're really planning on getting back to MVP Arena.
That sounds great. Thank you. Any other questions for the superintendent on that district update? Otherwise, I think we will move on to public comment. So this is the time we set aside to hear from members of the public. The board always welcomes input from the community about the decisions we are making. If you've come tonight to speak in public comment and you're not sure if you're signed up, please see Miss Bowie over there behind the two screens, and we should let you sign up, and we will call people in the order in which they are signed up. Per our long-standing policy, the board sets aside up to 30 minutes of each meeting to hear from our district residents, parents, students, and other members of our community. If you're go ahead. Yeah. If there are more comments than can be accommodated in 30 minutes, which is not likely tonight, we may choose to extend the length of public comment period or alternatively to establish a second public comment period later in the meeting. Per our relatively new public comment policy developed over COVID, we also accept comments in writing, by virtual live participation, and by voicemail. Comments that are not in person must be made at least 6 hours prior to the meeting to give us time to collect and verify them as needed. Written comments are limited to 400 words and voicemail comments to 3 minutes, just as in person are. All comments must include the commenter's name and place of residence. We do not accept anonymous comments. If you would like to submit a voicemail or written comment or sign up for a virtual comment in the future, you need to do that at the Addressing the Board page at albanyschools.org/BOE. That will give you all the information you need to know about how to do that. And this is really important for any of you guys who are here to speak in person tonight. So I want to make sure everybody's paying attention to this important piece of information. We ask all commenters to keep in mind that information about individual students and specific district staff members cannot be shared in public comment. Not only is that a violation of everyone's privacy, but students and staff members deserve to know that concerns about them will not be aired in public. We also ask that you keep in mind that public comment is not the best place to first alert the district to concerns. We ask that you share concerns first with relevant staff, such as the teacher or principal. If you feel the concern is not addressed adequately, you may appeal to that person's supervisor up the chain of command and, if necessary, to the superintendent. Decisions made by the superintendent may be appealed to the board. Finally, we ask you to note that the board's policy is not to respond during the public comment period. If you need a response, please contact us by email, phone, or postal mail. Our contact information is available at albanyschools.org/BOE, and the president, that's me, will respond on behalf of the board. We did not receive any written or voicemail comments tonight. We do have some people signed up for in-person comment. Please let me know if I mispronounce your name. We try really hard to get people's names right, and we appreciate it when we are corrected. When I recognize you, you'll come to one of these microphones. It doesn't matter. Each one are the same. Please state your name and city of residence. Statements are restricted to a maximum of 3 minutes. Dr. Chatour is the board secretary. He will give you a 1-minute notice and then a 10-second notice, and then I'll let you know if your time has expired. It's a good idea to look up at him occasionally to see those notices so you won't be surprised at the end of your 3 minutes. With that statement, I'm going to ask that the first person come. I have Aria Baines. Choose a microphone, any microphone. And just start by saying your name and your city of residence, and then you have up to 3 minutes, okay?
Okay, you guys can hear me? Hi, my name is Aria Baines. I'm from Albany, New York. I currently go to Albany High School. I run track on the Albany High girls track team, and 13 of us have been suspended for wearing sports bras. I feel that that's unfair. We've asked for the suspensions to be reviewed, and it's been almost a month and like a week and a half, and so it's been like 3 weeks. And we've asked for it to be reviewed. We feel as though we're being ignored when it comes to the situation. Our AD there's been.
I'm going to be really specific. We're not going to talk about anybody by name or by position, okay? If you can talk about the district, you can talk about staff people, but like I said before, you can't talk about anybody by name and you can't talk about anybody by position that tells us who they are, okay? Because we wouldn't do that for you and we wouldn't let you do that for anybody else.
Okay, well, staff has suspended us 3 days for they claimed that it was for actions taken at the lacrosse game. We've asked for the language to be reviewed and we've been ignored. So we're kind of here to see, because we're at a standstill, we would like for those suspensions to be reviewed and taken off and for somebody to be held responsible for the actions taken May 12th, 22.
Is that all you wanted to say? Is there more?
I think that's it.
Okay, thank you for being here. So you're the next person who is on the list. I have my glasses on. Alexis Arango. Did I say that right? You're next. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alexis. And then I missed Mr. Martinelli. You were signed up first, so go ahead. That was completely administrative error on my part. I apologize. So one of you guys, one take one microphone and one take the other. How about that? And then we'll go for that.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Dr. Adams, Mr. Yelski. My name is Dan Martinelli, and my wife and I have 2 students currently attending the Albany High School, and I'm here to advocate for my daughter and members of the Albany girls track team who received an athletic suspension. The turbulence surrounding this continually growing issue is about athletic wear, student voice, civil protest, and Title IX. For those listening, Title IX protects students from discrimination based on gender in an educational program, particularly those programs that receive federal funds, as Albany does. It's all sort of masked around a smokescreen of inappropriate language, which I believe did not happen, certainly for my daughter. I'm encouraging the board to investigate, ask questions. This, of course, is my formal request of a board appeal. I'll ask the same questions when we get to that appeal. It's my intention that this is not a gotcha, and I have followed your chain of command, and I have asked the same questions of your administration, which parents have the right to do, of course, to contest a suspension. This incident occurred on Thursday, May 12th. I received the suspension letter. It was hand-delivered Saturday, the 14th. Please consult your counsel on the ed law concerning that timing. The consequences were presented to me via phone on Friday, and then they changed. I was not notified of that change. My daughter told me when she came home, she went to a meeting. A 3-day suspension was changed to 1. I'm curious as to why. If 2 central office administrators had to address an issue on Wednesday, the 11th, the day before, as stated in the suspension letter, administrators reiterated, and I quote, the code of conduct, why were parents not contacted? By the way, my daughter was not warned. She didn't talk to those administrators. She was running, following the direction of her coaches. It was on this day that some of the girls were told by the administration that male coaches, they have male coaches, so they can't practice in athletic wear. This statement to the kids in front of coaches demonized the coaches without cause. That did harm. And all my kids have had those coaches. I trust them implicitly. What if I told you that there were students who received suspension letters who were not even present that day? Please ask that. In the suspension letter, it states my daughter was insubordinate when she refused to follow the rules set forth and enforced by me the previous day. Your daughter used inappropriate and disrespectful language directed at me when asked to leave the practice. I'm going to need some specifics here, and I did not get them from administration. On the 12th, administration went to the boys team and directed them to put their shirts on, and they did. And then they went to the
Mr.
girls
Marinelli.
and they did not get the same chance.
Mr.
Title
Marinelli,
IX violation.
that's your time. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. And again, I ask you take that suspension away. Please look into it.
Alexis, when you're ready. We try and clean them in between, so that's why we go back.
Name, right?
Say your name, say what city you live in, and then you have up to 3 minutes.
Okay. My name is Alexis Hoperango. I'm a senior at Albany High School, and I live in Albany. Okay. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak here today. Tomorrow will mark 3 weeks from when we received a sanction because of the way it was perceived we reacted and interacted with a staff member less than 24 hours earlier. However, 3 weeks later, and there still has been no acknowledgement, no attempt, and no acceptance or willingness from the district to understand the impact of the actions that were done by the district. Those actions belittled, shamed, and imprinted scarlet letters on our records. That no one from the district has made any mention or acknowledgement to try to correct. If the district felt we needed to be sanctioned for the way we interacted with staff and were able to act within 24 hours, I ask that the district reflect on their own actions and mistakes, and to act swiftly as they did to sanction us, to make adjustments to their own errors within their policies. Albany High has taught us a lot of good lessons, one of which is not to be silent when you feel you or someone else has been wronged. That is why we as a team united against this policy and are committed to continue to work, advocate, and be good trouble to get this resolved. Thank you again for your time.
And thank you for being here. And last, we have Sasha Roeder. Sasha, take this microphone because it's been cleaned, okay? That one right there. Yep, you got it. So you just start by saying your name, city you live in, and then you have up to 3 minutes. Watch over here for the time limits, okay? Go ahead.
Sure. My name is Sasha Roeder, legally Alexandra Gabrielle. I live in Albany, New York, and I go to Albany High School. I'm here for the same reason as my fellow teammates. I urge the district to investigate more so the reasoning for our suspension. Initially, the cause that came to us through those letters that you have heard about was that it was due to the encounter that occurred between the district and my teammates at the lacrosse encounter. However, this is exemplary not true because I was not present at this encounter and I was also suspended. And so the root of this problem does fall within us having the audacity to wear activewear on a hot day at the end of the season, when previously when this has occurred, it was never brought up to us. And this is also the time of the season that sectionals happen and that the most important invitationals occur and states and all that type of end of the year excitement. So the reasoning behind why some of our brightest athletes could not attend one of these very promising invitationals, I would really like you all to investigate. Thank you so much.
And thank you very much for being here. That brings us to the end of public comment. We really do appreciate when people take the time and take the time and prepare to come here and speak with us. Again, our contact information for both public comment and for routine correspondence is at albanyschools.org/BOE. We now are going to move on to the part of our meeting we call routine consent. During this portion of the meeting, we approve routine matters for the district. These include items like contracts, field trips, personnel matters, and the like. Each board member reviews each item carefully, but we vote on them as a group with no discussion. That allows us to use our meeting time more efficiently. Nonetheless, each board member has the option to set aside any routine consent item in order to require a separate discussion and a separate vote on that item. With that introduction, I now entertain a motion to adopt the routine consent agenda. Motion by Board Member Mann, second by Board Member Smith. Are there any set-asides? I see a set-aside from Mr. El-Manawi and one from Ms. Wilson. Mr. El-Manawi.
Can I set aside number 16, BPI mechanical?
Ms. Wilson.
Can I set aside item 11 and 12?
Can you give me the names too, just so I make sure I have the right ones?
Field trip, Albany High School, MBK, and Jrotc.
Okay. So, sorry, all in favor of adopting the routine consent agenda, less numbers 11 and 12, the field trips, and number 16, BPI, all in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. And now let's do them in the order they were spoken. Can I get a motion to adopt the BPI contract? Motion by Dr. Chatoor, second by Board Member Wilson. Is there any discussion? Board Member Almanawi.
Thank you. I just wanted to first say that I'm in favor of this addendum to increase contract amount to BPI, and that is because I want to ensure that funding is not an issue when it comes to ensuring that district facilities, specifically the HVAC and the plumbing, are well maintained and operational for our students and staff. So that is why I'm voting in favor of this, even though I voted against it in the first game.
Any further discussion? All in favor? That is unanimous. And now, Ms. Wilson, can we take those two together? Can I entertain a motion to adopt items 11 and 12, the two field trips? Motion by Ms. Wilson, second by Board Member Krejci. Is there any discussion? Board Member Wilson.
The very brief discussion I have is that I do intend to vote to approve these field trips. I just ask that we have lots of picture and video.
We would like to celebrate these field trips. Any further discussion? All in favor of items 11 and 12? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of the action portion of the agenda. We do not anticipate taking any additional actions tonight. While we could take an additional action, and it has happened before, in general, we try not to take actions after the end of the action agenda. That brings us to the beginning of the discussion agenda. And the first item is the year-end fund balance transfer.
We do not have a formal presentation. You have received the information. I will turn it over to Mr. Yagalski to discuss our year-end fund balance and the transfers that we're recommending.
With the help of two outstanding ladies in the business office, we undertook the effort to produce a projection, knowing that we still have a month's worth of activity in some of the active months. And as a result of that, we projected that there would be a balance, a projected balance comparing the revenues to the expenditures of $9 million. Now, we believe that the wisest thing to do with these dollars are to set them aside into reserves, specifically two reserves that we've identified. One has to do with retirement contributions, specifically for teacher retirement systems, and the other is the capital reserve. And the capital reserve is really important to us when you consider all the capital projects we have going, the amount of time these are taking, and to add to it, the rate of inflation that's occurring, affecting much of this. So we're better off if we take the balance of that and put that into the capital reserve. And that's our recommendation.
Any questions? And I remind you, this is a discussion agenda. We have a chance to think about this more over 2 weeks, but if anybody has any preliminary questions that they would like to ask the Deputy Superintendent. I guess I would like to, first of all, just acknowledge that my understanding is that pretty much every school district is seeing this kind of situation where they have funds left at the end of the year, because this has been such an unusual year, both in terms of funding availability and in terms of the challenge in delivering staffing and program that every school district is facing. So I appreciate your being on top of this in advance and thinking about it well in advance, so that sometimes in the past we've had to have like a discussion action all at once kind of thing. So it's really great to have it in advance. So I appreciate that.
And don't hesitate to call me and ask any questions between now and when the next board meeting is.
All right. Board Member Wilson.
Thank you for that breakdown. And I was just curious, being that it's 9 million remaining and we've allocated that, like distributed that between 2 reserves, is there any sort of implications for it being perceived as a fiscal stress that we've used them both fully and as reserves in that capacity? Or, for example, just like if we did not use the full 9 million but left some for flex or some kind of like, is that some kind of implication we can
Well,
have?
we will always have about 4% of your current budget set aside. So that doesn't touch that at all. We'll have that. We're just going to take the excess that we have here and put it away for another day. And again, I can't emphasize enough the business around the capital projects. We want to make sure we're able to finish that high school as an example.
Absolutely.
In the way we intended it to be.
Agree. Thank you.
I also wanted to appreciate the level of detail in some of the year-end spending, which I appreciate the breakdown there. I know that the folks who have been without a library for the last couple of weeks will be looking forward to having their full library complement back, and I'm thrilled to see that we have those funds available, as well as the increase to athletics, which is wonderful. Do we have a specific idea of the athletics, the purpose of those funds at this point, or is this just a planned increase?
That coordination will be done with our athletic director, and our business officials will take care of that, but there are different line items for each area, and then it will be distributed within those athletic department lines.
But if I understand correctly, these are items that will be purchased with dollars, this year's budget dollars.
That is correct.
Which is something, yeah, we've seen that happen before, and it's something I think we all have to keep in mind as we look at budgets from year to year. The budget, sometimes the pre-buying allows the budget the following year to look lower, but it's not because they have less spending. It's just that we pre-bought materials that we can.
I will add this. Not every school district does kind of manage the way we're doing here, because we could have just rushed through all of those items. Instead, we said, let's see how we're doing. And it won't hurt us in some of these cases to buy it later. So it does benefit the future. So not every district does it that way. And I think the way in which the district's been doing it here and identifying those things, monitoring them, and then at the right time, make the final decisions on them.
All right, any additional discussion or conversation? Otherwise, we will plan to vote on this in 2 weeks. I guess the only question I have, I'm sorry, I had one more little question. The draft resolution says basically any adjustments you're just going to make once you have the final figures, which seems very reasonable to me.
That's
Totally reasonable. But I'm assuming that that's within some realm of reality, of closeness, right? We're not talking about suddenly you're going to decide to donate or to reserve $500,000 instead of $9 million, and we wouldn't have an notification.
I'm hoping our projections are a little bit more accurate than that.
Okay. Me too.
But I got to be frank with you, if I'd been here for the whole year, I'd be solid as a rock.
Yeah.
But I'm relying on some other people that are really good in that business office.
I understand. Okay, so thank you very much. Anybody else? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next discussion item, which is Curriculum and Instruction Division update.
So good evening again, and we are so excited because there's a couple of presentations tonight that you're going to see that really are the heart and soul of the delivery of that quality instruction, looking at the goal of delivery of quality instruction. At the core of that, it is the curriculum that we use. It's the professional development that goes along from all different levels, administrative, support staff, as well as our faculty, and ensuring that that professional development aligns with the curriculum and that delivery of quality instruction. And we also have our presentation that will be a highlight within that division. Afterwards, we will hear from PE and health and receive an update with regard to that particular department. Because as you have noted, there's been an increase in the funding that is going back to try and help restore as we get back to our competitive levels and increasing the programs that we're offering. We are also looking at increasing the funding to support that. And so at this juncture, for the next two items, I'm going to turn it over to our assistant superintendent of curriculum, instruction, and professional development, Mrs. Karen Bechtel.
Thank you, Superintendent Adams. I'm happy to be here to give this presentation to the Board of Education, and I will begin with no further ado. This again is the division update for curriculum instruction and professional development. We always begin with our guiding principles, and then I'll move into the goals of my division, which is really centered on instructional supervision, curriculum development and implementation, and professional development. Those are our three large buckets that we have here that I'm going to talk about further as I go through the presentation. This is my department staff. My first three columns are really the 8 content supervisors that cover all content in the district. The only thing that's not represented here is CTE. I certainly work with Andrea Marquis Clark on the CTE program. We partner with her as she runs that content area. In addition, athletics falls under my purview, as well as mentoring and professional development with Jen Justice and Lisa DiNardo, my admin assistant, who I can't speak highly enough about. She's a great asset to our department. Our structures consist of, in leadership, the check-in meetings, which I think you heard quite a bit about this from Ms. McKenna and Dr. Wilson Turner. So those check-in meetings really provide coaching, direction, guidance. I meet one or two times a month with each supervisor. We have some standing agenda items. We also have the monthly secondary core instructional supervisor meeting and the elementary one as well. And that's where I work with my colleagues, Dr. Wilson Turner and Lori McKenna, as we intersect between management of schools and management of content. C&I staff provide instructional and content leadership in so many different contexts. We are at all the principal meetings. We do walkthroughs, I'll talk more about that. We manage the instructional coaching department. So the supervisors then in turn meet with those ELA and math supervisors, the coaches, I'm sorry. And then the instructional coaches also support CPT, as well as the instructional supervisors supporting CPT. I had the pleasure this year, actually, of running a 12-hour PD series, which ended yesterday, in the art of coaching with our 10 new instructional coaches and tech coaches this year. They were invited because their work in terms of adult learning theory is very much the same. Common planning time, the elementary and secondary supervisors participate in that. Elementary, it's more about that supporting the coaches. We have a large number of coaches at the elementary level, and at the secondary level, the supervisors push into that as well, where we do benchmark analysis using our eDoctrina system. The walkthrough feedback cycle, which you've heard quite a bit about, the supervisors work collaboratively with our building leaders. They do conduct paired walkthroughs, which is a learning experience for anyone who participates in that. It's a wonderful opportunity to talk about instruction and next steps. We do this regularly and frequently, as this is our work in our department, and we pay attention to the SEPs. We are really looking about the fidelity of curriculum implementation, professional development efforts that we have made, and the content. We provide feedback in a coaching manner so that we can all grow in our practice. The walkthroughs, not as many as pre-COVID, but we are certainly had more this year than in the past. When I pulled this chart, we were at 731 for the district. And I point out that the C&I staff have done almost half of those, but I want to remind the board that this is our work, our content and instruction work. We're not managing buildings in our office. We are managing content and curriculum. So this is our work to be sure to get into classrooms and monitor that major job that we have. You are aware by now, because I've talked about this several times, the 5-year cycle of review. We're actually closing in at the end of a second 5-year cycle, which indicates that we've really systemized our curriculum review process. This year, Fine Arts and Social Studies is in year 1, and those presentations will take place, I believe, in August. And next year on deck is Math, World Language, and Reading. We also are always doing ongoing adjustments. Blended learning is a new initiative really leveraged from the pandemic. It was there. We were always trying to do it, but I call it one of the silver linings is that it propelled us. And I do actually think it's a huge change that we're going to see as a result of these 2 years. So we did a lot of implementation of digital resources. You've heard people speak of Nearpod, Kami, our Google Suite, of course. And then we have the tech coaches. I work closely with Kent and to support the integrated technology in the in-person academic environment. We also have some new standards to get ready to implement in computer science. And so we're doing some of that beginning work about how that will look in our district. I believe we're slated for 23-24 for very initial implementation. We have done quite a bit of work around social justice integration into the curriculum, especially in our humanities curriculum, where it's a natural fit, but it's explicit. We're doing it targeted, we're doing it explicitly, we're planning for this, and we are making sure that the students that we serve are represented in the content and the text that we use. So we have research units, we talk about student voice all the time. We have the literature circles at middle school where kids are doing independent book projects. There's student choice there, and we are sure to give kids opportunities with social justice themes. We've spoken about the 1619 project being embedded in the U.S. history curriculum, and the culminating project in the civics class took place this year in anticipation of the new seal of civic readiness, which is coming next year. It's being that's year 1 for the seal of civic readiness. But staff had been working on this project with a culminating project at the end of this grade 12 class, really for several years. And we have partnered with the NAACP. They've really been so helpful in with that with us. I always submit a year-end curriculum report. Our curriculum is grounded in the standards. And in this report, I give a summary. I just tell you this to remind you that came in October to reflect the 2021 school year. And then at the end of the summer, because we do so much curriculum work in the summer, I like to do that report in the fall to wrap up the work that has been completed. We've enhanced our curriculum to include technology integration. Can't go any further without talking about the seal of biliteracy. We had the pleasure of hearing 4 presentations. We had the other presentation was last year, but there are 5 seniors who will receive the seal this year. And this website, you can click on it and see what a robust page we have on our new website. The curriculum report and this really reflects secondary 6 through 12. They really use the Rubicon Atlas system. You can see that we have the most hits for views with our 4 core areas, which makes the most sense. The most students are in there, and the most teachers really as departments. So it's an active system that teachers use to help them in their work. Professional development, we are getting ready to create a new professional development plan. We have 4 goals. These goals have very much stayed the same, these overarching goals. We added the tech integration goal a few years ago, but content standards, data-informed instruction, social emotional learning, that is what we do. And so all of our activities and the kinds of plans that we make for PD fall under these big categories. We have our PD days. Most of our offerings were virtual. We did have some in person. It just sort of depended upon the content. This year, big focus on ruler implementation and also adult social emotional learning. I also linked the May 17th PD schedule here if you wanted to take a peek at that. It's a complex process, but we're linked to MLP so people can keep track of their PD, and it works out great. Conferences, we normally have more than this, but this is way more than 2021. So we're up to 200 conferences, and just this spring we actually sent our first large group just this past weekend. We really wanted to wait till the very end of the school year because we are having some issues with staffing, so we committed to the summer. And so we have quite a bit of activity going on this summer. We always conduct a lot of surveys. There's a lot to look at here, but I think one of the highlights is in April of this year when we did our new PD plan survey, because we survey staff before we create the plan. We have an added dimension. We always focus on our teaching staff, APSTA, and they have given us their top 3 things: the content, student engagement, grade level planning. But we also gave a targeted survey to TAs. We had 89 respondents, and they identified classroom management, social emotional learning, student engagement as priorities for them. And our clerical staff, we also wanted to see what their needs were, and they talked about school tool, Excel, payroll, and purchasing, and we did address the payroll purchasing at our most recent PD day on May the 17th. I just wanted to revisit, I won't bring this back again, but this is the Google Suite, the 3 main things: the Google Classroom, Google Docs, Google Drive. People have this. They have Google Suite under their belt, and it's just a part of how we do business. So that's good news. And for teachers, these are a few of our large tools that we have. And again, depending, because some people would be using these more than others, but we have pretty good results there about people's comfort level with the digital tools. But I really wanted to highlight this because I think we've made a shift, and I want to thank Mr. Baker for helping me even get here, because we kept thinking about Google Suite and the tools and not about what integrated tech really means. And so with the advent of the tech coaches, and the tech coaches actually doing the work of instructional coaches, except with how to integrate technology. But what we did in the PD survey is we really tried to word it so that we could help teachers understand this is not about having computers in the room or kids on the computers. It's how teachers are using computers and digital tools to integrate into instruction. Blended learning is not computers taking the place of teachers. It's about teachers using the technology to help instruction. So we asked this question in this particular way, and the top 3 things that people said they wanted help with in using instructional tech is to help to incorporate student voice, increase student engagement, you see a theme there, and provide choice and activities. So we shifted how that conversation is moving. And we also surveyed the TAs. They too have a pretty good comfort level with the Google Classroom, Google Docs, Google Drive. So that was good. We have some work to do here, but we feel that this is a good sign. And then, actually, let me go back one, or no, I'll stay here. I should have on board with me today, Jen Justice. Are you there, Jen?
I am.
Excellent. Jennifer Justice is the mentor coordinator and also my right-hand person for all things professional development. She's going to walk through these next couple of slides.
Good evening, everyone. So a little bit about the mentor program in the City School District of Albany. This came out of a 2003 state ed regulation that requires all new teachers after 2004 to receive 1 year of mentoring in order to move on to their professional certification. The district has been really, I think, forward thinking in that we give mentoring to every new teacher, every new APSTA member in the district. And I think that that is something that other districts don't do, but we recognize the need for new people transitioning in, what a large district it is and all the nuances. And so every person in APSTA gets a mentor, every new person, regardless of the number of years experience that you have. And they come in and they have this partner that walks them through their first year. That, I think, is really what makes us special. It helps teachers and other staff members go through the APPR process. It coaches them. It gives them just an ally in the district. And we try very hard to match people up with someone in their building. And if not, then someone that's doing the exact job. In fact, I onboarded a new nurse today. So we're working very hard at this, making sure everybody is covered. Did I miss anything, Karen?
No, I think you did a great job, Jen. Let's move to the next slide, which has your data. Can you see that, Jen?
I can't, but maybe there's a delay. I know what it is, though. So this slide will show you the number of mentees and mentors in the district. And you can see that last year, obviously, there weren't very many because there weren't a lot of new teachers. This year, we are at roughly 157. And again, that covers all of the APSTA members. So we have nurses, we have social workers, school psychologists. All of those people have someone that they can go to immediately for help. Typically, it's in their building, but not always. Again, if we have a single social worker in a building, we would match them up with a social worker in another building, but they're reachable by phone and they can always reach me. So you can see what the numbers are. It's, new programs, obviously, with AIC and the dual language program moving and those kinds of things in North Albany, that's going to add new teachers and other non-classroom professionals that require mentoring. The numbers are pretty staggering how much staff we have that are new.
Yeah, we are at pre-COVID numbers. Okay, so I think, Jen, were you going to start this and I was going to finish teacher certification pathways? This is something else our office supports, and Jen will speak to this for a minute.
So, pardon me, I'm really proud of the work that we have done in the areas. As you know, there's a teacher shortage in New York State and actually across the country, and we are trying very hard, and I have to say, Matt and Karen, different ways to get people in, starting with, we just got this grant, and actually the Albany Public School Teachers Association got this grant from NYSET, and it's called the Talent Grant. This is Take a Look at Teaching, and this is going to start 2 middle school clubs, and Kate Johnson and Rohan Graham will be the club managers for the 2 middle school clubs. It's to get kids interested in teaching. As you know, this has been, teaching is not what it once was. Some of the programs in the area have closed, and we really need to generate interest. And we want to bring in kids that are our kids and have them come back and teach with us. So we're starting that in the middle school. And that is a small grant, but we're definitely hoping that it grows. Another grant that we have in the district is called Teachers of Tomorrow. This is going to be, it was applied for in May, but I believe it's a renewal, and it's designed to recruit and retain teachers in high needs schools, but in hard to fill areas. So, facts, technology, in some cases, music, theater, those kinds of jobs. Again, a lot of the local programs like St. Rose, they're not filling those positions like we once had in our backyard. And so we need a way to entice people to come and work for us. And this is one of those things. They get an extra stipend for staying with us for a number of years. And the last thing that I'll talk about, and Karen will add to this, which I think is really near and dear to my heart because I was a TA in the district when I started, is there are quite a few teaching assistants that work in the district that are looking to be certified teachers. And it is a really individualized process of how you do this. And State Ed, as you know, they're understaffed, and there isn't someone you can call and ask how to do this. So this is something that, you know, Karen said, sure, go and do this. And we surveyed teaching assistants, and we right now have 24 people who are really interested in doing this, and they're in various stages of doing it. Some have started classes, some haven't. And it's a real process, and they really need someone. And we have a partner in BOCES. Ken Ziegler has been really helpful with us, and NICET has helped us, and I'm learning a lot. And Matt has been very good about connecting me and giving us time. And I was able to run a PD on May 17th for TAs with Ken Ziegler. And so I think that this is something where we can bring in teachers that are people who already work for us. And that's what we're looking to do from promoting within. It's a win for the kids, it's a win for the TA, and it's a win for us.
Nice job. I think you said it all, but I do want to give a shout out to you, Jen, because she knows so much about certification, and people ask, and we're able to use Jen as a resource on this. And I know that Matt and Human Resources appreciate the work that she does in this regard. And I guess that's just a reflection of how my office intersects with the other divisions. So I'm intersecting with Mr. Baker and the Office of Data and Technology. Of course, I'm very intersecting with Cecily and Lori, and then even with Human Resources, with the student teaching, with the teacher certification pathways, with the professional development. So we get around in the C&I. So this is, I think, my final slide about other responsibilities or initiatives that we have in our department. We manage the student teaching program. We've only had 55 placements this year. That is lower. But we do work with a lot of different colleges. We've even have some online programs that we are beginning to work with. We do this the STEM programming, and this is really in the purview of Amanda Powers and Sarah McGraw, the STEManistas camp, the science fair, which I will have something in the update next week, the freight farm, the space station, the Jrotc Center. We do so much. Something new we did this year was the financial literacy series for grades 5 and 12. This was with our partners at SEFCU, and it was greeted very positively by the teachers in grade 5 and in grade 12. And we are going to do this again to support our students' financial literacy. We implement grants, the Smart Scholars, and then the Title IV. We have a new partnership with EF Educational Tours, which we just started, and in an effort to look to open up travel again to students because we believe this is important. And along with promoting travel, we want to make sure that we give as many kids as possible access to this, and that we're not just saying that this is a parent responsibility, but how can we, even as a district organization, do the fundraising to ensure that more kids can participate in that. And of course, the board knows I do the district calendar. And then new to me is, well, actually last couple of years is athletics. And I didn't talk about athletics in this presentation because I believe right after me, Director Chappell will be here to give us a comprehensive presentation on athletics, health, and PE. And here's some references for our work and our questions. And I think I'm going to come out of this because I can't see anybody right now. There you go.
Well, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. I love the enthusiasm. It's always exciting to hear from people who are excited about their work. Particularly, I noted how excited you were to talk about technology and how teachers can use technology and how it really centers teachers, because that is what we do here. And we really believe that teachers are the source of our strength and the power in the district. So we really appreciate everything you said tonight about how all that you do connects to teaching and learning in the classroom. So I will not yatter on here because we always want to try and maintain our normal process of one question at a time. I see Board Member Smith is excited to speak, so we'll do Board Member Smith, then Board Member Wilson, and then we'll see who's next.
Great, thank you. Ms. Bechtel, thank you so much, and all of your staff colleagues as well. Let me first just add on to that since I've been on the board, I really, and I'm not saying that it wasn't there before, but the growth in the PD, and particularly your presentation of what is involved in the PD, has just grown tremendously. And I remember thinking at last meeting, that, we were discussing some PD, and I didn't want to leave, and I unfortunately I did. I didn't want to leave that conversation without commending this district for the amount, the volume, the level, and the focus of the professional development that's offered here. It is just bar none, if you ask me. And so I just want to commend you for that. That it's again, I feel and I sense something very different from when I first came on the board and would hear you speak and talk to where you have come today. I've always known that you've enjoyed PD, but I really see that all over your face and your body language, and it's reflected obviously in the product, the outputs that you've got here. So I just wanted to commend you and staff for that, and including Ms. Justice also for her component of it. I think as well, out of that has come so many initiatives in your area, in your bailiwick of curriculum and instruction, and I'm excited about every piece of it, truthfully. And I wanted to make note in particular of the EF tours. I was having a conversation last evening with one of our staff people who's very involved in this and has handled or managed the Costa Rica trips.
Yes.
And so, and I apologize because I know I'm not supposed to mention names, but I had a great conversation with our staff person. And one of the things that I was saying to him that I was really moved by, I was fortunate to be able to support my child's travel since 12th grade, where she was involved in the People to People program at the time. I think that is no longer the name. They may have merged with EF or some other entity. But I mean, to see my child thrive and experience those trips abroad, and she thinks nothing of it, whereas Vicky, I was all set to go abroad in college and I backed out because I hadn't been. I mean, I just hadn't been, and I was afraid. And so I said, my child's doing it, even if she does it without me. And sure enough, she was able to travel and spend time in 8 different countries before the 10th grade. And it was incredible for her. I've also had the experience where I worked with schools that provide these travel experiences, and there are so many kids, and I know this is true in Albany, they haven't left a 4 to 5 to 6 square block of their neighborhood ever. And for many reasons, but I am so thankful and grateful that we've always been able to provide some of that, but now I think it feels like there's a real thoughtful effort to ensure that every single child has that opportunity, not just once, but perhaps multiply, right? And I can't wait for that to really take off, because I had a young man in Syracuse who I met, and he was in the 10th grade when I met him. He started at this particular school when he was in 7th grade, had never been outside of his neighborhood, was suddenly in Turkey, Austria, Germany, the UK, and boy, did he have a lot to share with me. And it changed his life and his life trajectory. So I just wanted to take those few minutes to say, I'm so grateful for that, everything that we are doing and are offering our youngsters. I am so very proud of. I know that what my child experienced has made a difference in her life, but I could also see that the more we're doing this and taking it to the next level is phenomenal. And I thank all of you for that piece of work.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
I'd like to add just a little comment to that. One of the things that we're looking at doing with EF educational tours is aligning it with our curriculum so that it becomes an enhancement to the subject matter. And what that does is if you think about some of the things that we've talked about over the years, making the learning that happens in the classroom meaningful to the everyday life. How do I connect the learning that I get in the school to the world beyond? And EF educational tours is a way of doing that, because not only are they founded, or shall I say grounded within the content, it's also within that overall theme. So for example, there are themes that address health, wellness, physical education. And there's curricula that goes along with that so that we can tie that into what we do. One of the other things, and Ms. Bechtel is very modest about this, but there is an opportunity for our teachers that we are looking at to go to Panama, which has a STEM component, so that they can learn, get that information, but then learn how that can become something for our students to participate in. And how do we then enhance a very strong and robust STEM program to incorporate these educational tours outside of Albany with regard to that? We already understand foreign languages. There's a culinary component. And so we think about how can we do like tours in foreign countries with chefs and things like that to help enhance what our culinary students are experiencing. And so this connection, while we're starting small, the vision is that it will connect in each of our content areas, each of our themes, so that we can get to the point that every single student in our district will have the opportunity, along with how we build in those resources to facilitate getting our students to experience Albany and beyond.
Thank you very much. I know this sounds thematic from one of the first things that you handled when you first got here, I recall. And there was a lot of conversation about overnight field trips and making sure that they were curricular and open to all. So I'm really excited to see it coming to fruition. Board Member Wilson.
+1 to everything Board Member Smith and the Superintendent stated. And I just have like a holistic overview about the entire presentation, not so much a question, so forgive me for the love fest, but I always feel philosophical when you do these presentations. Now the word that comes to mind is like symphony, and I think curriculum is like the sheet music, you know. And I love that the subtitle of the area concerning coaching and mentoring was called leadership development, because as much as we are aligning the curriculum to and mentoring and coaching to align to our mission and vision and goals, most people can think of impactful teachers that they've had in their life or someone who left an impression. And I think that comes from not only passion, but pouring into our colleagues that are teachers. And I do remember, as you mentioned, the PD, I agree with Vicki, it's becoming more and more insightful into what the goals of the PD are and how it works. And as you described them, weddings. I do have personal experience with the 5-year cycle of review. So I think it sheds light for people who don't understand, well, where does our curriculum come from? Well, we're constantly reviewing it and we're focusing, and you know, there's a cycle and there is a process, and I appreciate that you highlighted that. The other area that jumped out to me was social justice in the curriculum, and I thank you for just calling it, going straight to it and calling it that, especially because we talk about cultural relevant education. Well, what's more relevant than that? And I know that there's dynamics in our country that are pendulum swinging in another direction, and I'm just happy and proud that we're doing that. And lastly, of course, the pipeline of teachers I think is amazing, and that we have like a very directed, for one, we're going so deep into middle school for one, and then elementary even for that matter, but for one, and then also the fact that it's like we're taking the initiative, as people have identified that, not only, as I mentioned, teachers are very impactful. We have students for so long, and we just want people to understand the benefits of the profession and also generate a pipeline of teachers from our ranks within our school district or in our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Board Member Tutor and then Board Member Krejci.
I want to say this was amazing. When I first came on the board, you and I had many discussions about curriculum and what we would like to see, what the community needs, this and that. It's amazing. It's amazing. Now I'm going to call you the enabler of enablers, because your division is enabling teachers to teach better, enabling students to learn better, working with all of these different units and trying to make the whole educational process better. It's also enabling the community and the parents. You can go on the website. Here's the different programs. This is what's in the curriculum. Here are our offerings. All that information which seemed to be locked in Fort Knox now is available. Right? It's much more easier to get that. Oh, I have a question. I go on the page. Oh, it's there. That decreases the level of anxiety for a parent or a community member, and everybody else can see what we have. Whatever anybody says about us, you look at those offerings, nobody can beat us. Mm-hmm. It shows. I mean, all the hard work that your division and the district staff have put in, it shows. Our students are thriving. I mean, today there was the news article about the students going to all the graduating seniors going to all the university. Look at the list. I mean, it's like your chest is pounding with joy. So, yeah, awesome job. Thank you.
I have to say, Dr. Sharp, that my team is so good. The people that work in my division, they are we like to call ourselves a lot of nerdy academics. We so love the content, and so I have very, very strong content people in my department, and so I have to say that I'm on the shoulders of my folks. So thank you.
Board Member Krejci. I'm also, I think that was it Ms. Wilson that said she's also joining the Love Fest. That's really, I also am more commenting than questioning, and it's as somebody that was a part of the curriculum committee in the past, just seeing how this process has evolved from an area where there were gaps or areas where the curriculum wasn't well developed and needed, let's fill the gaps and what's missing, to being able to even have mastered having well-developed curricula in each subject and having that 5-year cycle to ensure that it keeps going on and curricula is continually updated, because obviously, science changes, history keeps happening, etc. People keep writing books, so you can't just stick with what you have. That's what was the right curriculum 10 years ago isn't right now. So it's wonderful. I love, especially looking at your presentation tonight, the focus on interdisciplinary issues, and also as Ms. Wilson mentioned, that focus on social justice. And I love that social justice is threaded throughout the work, not just as a social studies thing or ELA, but things like, the financial literacy or STEMistas or, like the flying classroom, that social justice, representation, and equity are something that's done throughout the curriculum, and I really love that. I also love in Ms. Justice's presentation how we're working to develop teachers from within, both as our encouraging future careers in our students, which is great given the demographics of the workforce right now, and also from our TAs, because it seems like a recipe for success. If you have a TA who already is familiar with the school, they already know it's a place they want to work. They already have the relationship with the kids. They just need that one piece of the credential and and also the knowledge of those instructional strategies that we can help them acquire through the professional development. I love the way it's come together, and I love
the focus on the technology and instruction. It seems like the teachers also benefit from you understanding how to educate, not just that it's not just the students that are the audience, but also the teachers as well. So thanks for such a really well balanced and thought out presentation on what you're doing.
Thank you very much. We do have areas that we still need to continue to work on. Though the helping the TAs, that is really good work. And but the PD, Jen and I are determined to have it perfect one day. So I hope we achieve our goal. But yeah, there's always work to be done. But thank you very much.
Board Member Mann.
I'm not going to be too long. I want to just really echo Ms. Bechtel, everything that my board colleagues have shared. I really love the teacher certification pathways. It just makes sense, and Ms. Tracy said it seems like a recipe for success. I mean, it is truly a recipe for success. And when I look at the different initiatives that we're offering, and then I look at what our neighboring districts are offering, it doesn't even come close. It doesn't even come close. And so thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. Having an in-house person who's really knowledgeable about certification and who's accessible, and Jen Justice, who's not living in HR, but living in my office, is awesome, because that's an obstacle sometimes, thinking about SED and how to manage those areas. And having Jen on hand, she walks people right through. As soon as they come, she sets up a meeting and talks through what they need to do in order to get there. So thank you very much for noting how important that is.
Board Member Elmanyawi.
So, something is extremely thorough when there are references at the very bottom. So thank you. I want to just touch on one thing. I'm seeing better graphs more often, and I love it. I look at graphs at work, so it just tells it tells a story with like an image, and I really appreciate that. And I'm not going to go on because my colleagues have said everything. So thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
So I do actually have a question, which I will ask, but first I just want to echo what everyone has said. Most people who've been listening to board meetings for the last couple of years know that it's been a real signature issue for me to have a really strong Grow Your Own program, starting as young as we possibly can, straight through. And then I think it's critical to our success as a district, because I don't think we succeed by drawing people from the outside here. I think we succeed by building up Albany's community. And that is why I thought so hard to make sure that 9240 has the language in it that it does, which says that we will prioritize hiring for people who were educated by City School District of Albany or live in our city. And things that you and Ms. Justice spoke about really speak to that exact thing, where we're trying to develop a full cycle to make sure that our kids become our teachers and get those really terrific jobs that there are very few pension-driven jobs left in this country. And teaching jobs do give you a level of financial security that is hard to come by in many other professions. So I hope our kids are thinking real hard about their future and the joy that comes from teaching, and to be able to get the combination of joy and financial security is not always easy. But my question is twofold. There's two questions. All right, I'll ask one question, which is the most important. The most important is the smaller one. You noted that there would be 2 middle school clubs, and I don't need to have an answer to this right now, but I would love it if somebody would put some thought into what it would take for us to have 3 middle school clubs, since we have 3 middle schools, and see if that's something that could be done right out the gate rather than building from 2 to 3. We have 3 middle schools, and I'd love to see all 3 of them have access to this middle school teaching club. So feel free to not answer the question and just think about it.
I'm happy to answer it. Because we have thought about it. We didn't go ahead with the 3rd middle school quite yet because we weren't sure of staffing, and we really want to get this rolling as quickly as we can in the fall. And it was an APSTA-led initiative, and so we just took a step back. I know Rohan, I know Kate, And I went to them personally to ask them if they would do this, because I was thinking of point people in the building. And so that was an APSA decision to wait for the 3rd middle school. And we absolutely would like it to be in every single one.
All right. Well, I'm gonna put the question aside and hope that further thought, reflection might allow a possibility. I don't know if there's some other way that the district can support, but to have it out the gate with 3 would be wonderful. But my second question, it truly is a question. I know and this I think may not fall under you, and I apologize if I'm asking the wrong person, and if you want to put it to another place. I'm always interested in what we're doing to improve the quality of our substitutes. I know people who have substituted for this district for years. And I know that we have, at least back the last time I saw data, 1 out of every 10 days, or 10% basically absence rate among teachers, right? So that means 1 out of every 10 days a student is having a sub. So can you talk a little bit about what we're doing to increase the quality of our substitutes?
So this is an area that Matt Petrin and my areas, sort of overlap. But Jen and I have had many discussions about establishing that baseline PD for a sub, and we've had some ideas. And I'm sorry that I'm saying that they're ideas, but we have certainly spent time on it. We have online modules that we could give access to, but we also wondered, is it possible to, before a sub comes in, is there a day of training? Is there? So we've been wrestling with these things, but haven't quite got to it yet.
I understand. And I think it's something that we should continue to think about, because while there is a lot of turnover in subs, there also are subs who serve us for multiple years. And, those people they're with our kids. And they're with our kids a lot, many kids over many years. And I would love to support them so that the kids get the best out of them. So thank you again for your really enthusiastic and wonderful presentation. I didn't mean my questions at all to come out as critiques or push, maybe a little pushes, because, if the board doesn't push, who will, right? We really want you to do more than you probably actually can do in 12 months. Does anybody have any further discussion? Otherwise, thank you very much, Ms. Justice and Ms. Bechtel. We really appreciate your being here with us tonight. And I think we'll stay with you, Karen, as we move on to the next discussion item.
Yes, I will stay here and give the floor to Superintendent Adams.
At this time, we are so very excited. I believe Athletic Director Ashley Chappell is on the call. And I will turn the presentation over to Ms. Chappell so that she can explain all of the wonderful things that are happening in our athletics department. So, Ms. Chappell.
Good evening. Can you guys see my screen?
We see your screen.
Okay.
It's very peaceful.
I can't see it. This is interesting. So we're gonna go with it. Tonight I have my partner John Galarnu, who is the Instructional Supervisor of Health, Physical Education, and Athletics. So this will be a presentation on all 3 departments. And so we'll start with the Health and Phys Ed first.
So, Ms. Chappell, what we're seeing is a very beautiful and very peaceful island.
Oh,
is there a slideshow that we're meant to see? I
knew there was something.
Thank you so much. That looks, I did like the island, but this is more what I was expecting to see.
This is what I thought you were seeing. I thought you liked the colors and stuff. So that's why I was like, oh, all right. Cool.
I do like the colors. They are awesome. But now we have to. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we're ready.
All right, good evening, and thank you to the Board of Education, to Superintendent Adams, for the opportunity to be able to present and to be able to talk about physical education, health, and athletics here in our district. Quick program overview. Our staffing has a director, instructional supervisor, athletic trainer, and a secretary. Our PE staff, we have 16 elementary, 11 middle, and 9 high school. And then we have 6 middle school and high school health teachers. And our goals of our program are to provide learning experiences that really teach students to be physically active in ways that will increase their physical confidence, self-esteem, support a healthy and physically active lifestyle, It's about producing students that will be lifelong physically active and healthy. And hopefully we provide those learning experiences that are diverse enough where our students find something that they enjoy and learn from and continue to do well beyond school. I can't click the next slide, but if you can, thank you. So I'm going to jump into our elementary health in middle school. And for health at the elementary level, a couple of the key points would be our KYB program, which is Know Your Body program. That program is under review and in need of update, and we have decided to task our health teachers, as well as using some of our resources from Healthy Smart and some other resources, as well as KYB structurally, to be able to create a new program that can be used in our elementary schools, new materials that are culturally responsive, that are representative of the audience of our students, and that are current and also relevant to our world. So definitely some updates with mental health components as well, as we're doing that process, and have been year, but in the month of July. The health program is at the elementary level is broken into quarters with multiple lessons per unit.
Our slide.
Actually, we've lost your screen. Okay, there we go.
Throughout the school year. And then at the middle school level, the health department, the health department at the middle school level and the high school.
Can you go back one?
Has mental health. Thank you. There we go. Has professional development through Mental Health Association for New York State, which is Mentees, as well as Goodhart Wilcox, which is comprehensive health skills. This was a curriculum resource that we were able to get to our middle school teachers, and this is an online program where they can grab resources and print out and use those within their classes as well. Plan to provide a science-based, age-appropriate sexual health unit in our middle school classes. We can go to the next slide. Once again, our high school staff also has a professional development through Mentees. And the mental health unit in the high school has done a great job in coordinating with resources within our building and outside of our building for our students, and making sure that they understand how to access those resources and utilize those resources, especially during that unit. We do a hands-on only VR, and also we have Planned Parenthood that provides that age-appropriate sexual health unit for our high school classes. Next slide. Please. Thank you. Okay. So this goes grants over the last couple of years. We had a $4,000 grant for physical education from Capcom. We also had a health teacher receive a grant from the Albany Fund for Education for stress management resources. And we had a PE teacher receive a grant from the Albany Fund for Education for slacklining, and that's what the picture is of a student using the slacklining. And then we had a PE teacher who won a grant from the Capital Zone for a Jrotc ball set, and that is kind of what that picture is there. A Jrotc ball is kind of like a handball, and then there's a rebounder, and very similar to handball and some other sports, but the kids have to catch it off the rebounder. Next slide, please. Thank you. So now physical education at the K-5 level. What positives? As we look at virtual within physical education, a lot of people will think negative. There were some positives. Number one, our PE staff became acclimated to district technology services at a faster rate than they had before. They had the opportunity to use technology during physical education classes and really had that opportunity to plan together and work collaboratively weekly to work on instruction during the pandemic. And we even explored a way to have a PE virtual field day in the spring of 2020. And now as we come back in person, all the elementary school in-person field day experience in 2021, as well as this year in 2022. Our teachers have a district iPad to support their instruction and continue to use the technology that they've been accessing for this period of time. And then this year, we also had the opportunity for teachers and guest speakers return to physical education individual student teachers, or even Sage College Methods classes, developing new teachers that might even be subs for us down the road, or even hired as teachers for our district. We had City Lacks guest presentation from lacrosse, and then we had the PAL citywide track meet this spring, which is great to have that after a short break from the pandemic. At the high school level, the middle school and high school levels, once again, that virtual positives for staff, definitely our PE staff became more acclimated to the district and technology services. And one program that we have within our middle school and high school for physical education using technology is our platform program. And platform is certified strength and conditioning coaches, designed strength training programs that in coordination with our PE teachers and our coaches, we can tailor those programs specifically for the goals of students. That can be used at home, it could be used in the weight room, and definitely in your PE classes or on your sports teams. Students have individual accounts where they can go into the account and actually record their scores and chart their improvement through the process and really focus on health and fitness goals and reaching those goals. In-person physical education, we had the American Red Cross and first responder training for all PE staff in the middle schools and high school, and we'll continue to do those updates and keep our staff certified. iPads for all physical education staff. High school is currently in that replacement phase. Then we had 8 teachers and 1 health teacher attend the New York State AFER conference, and hopefully we're back in that process again as those conferences begin to open up those opportunities for our staff to continue to grow. And also our high school physical education staff was trained by Albany indoor rock climbing for the new rock wall addition to our annex gym. And that was a great training we did at the beginning of the year, and getting the opportunity to come into classes and see them using that space and some of the talent that our kids have in those classes and how they worked very hard with it was a great experience this year. Thank you. Also, for K-12 physical education, New York State has created some new physical education standards. These have been in process. It is something that will be fully implemented in the 2023-2024 school year. But Dr. Clancy Seymour, who's the past president of New York State AFER and is also a professor at Canisius College, provided some standards training that our staff was able to receive and to really help us with understanding the new 6 anchor standards and how they really align to the national standards in comparison to the previous standards we had. We also had a presentation and some PD on gender neutrality, which we had Jeff Honeywell, our district attorney, as well as Jen Malley Wheeler from the Pride Center. Last and definitely not least is enrichment. We're always looking for opportunities to extend that school day and extend the experiences when we talk about this. And intramurals is an integral part. This is something where we've been working through our committee and have our mission and had some pilot opportunities and are looking to continue to expand it. And as you can see, we ran a futsal program at Eon, which is really like an indoor soccer program for those that don't know. It had 60 participants across the district that would travel on Friday to Eon. We had a girls soccer program that was getting about 87 students at Delaware. We had youth wrestling on Saturday mornings at Albany High School that had 50 students. And then we had volleyball Tuesdays and Thursdays at Hackett that had 41 students. And these are students that were in the range of grades 3 to 8, depending on the program. Some upcoming programs that you probably have seen some information go out about. We have a flag football program within our middle schools. We have a girls basketball program that will be running on weekends, and then we have a boys basketball program that's upcoming as well as we continue to work on these intramurals and provide more opportunities for our students. Some next steps at the health, it'll be that elementary curriculum update and training for elementary teachers that teach the health curriculum, as our health teachers don't go down into that space. Mental health updates to the curriculum and professional development, and then to vertically align that elementary, middle, high school health and always continuing to improve that process. As we look at the high school, it's that iPad or technology replacement. So you notice that the older iPads are not going to be just out. They're going to be used for athletics, used for stats. So they're continuing to be used as we do update. We want to continue to look at elementary PE technology upgrades. An example would be trying to get the same resources that are in classrooms within physical education spaces. So that way our PE teachers can use that district technology in the same way they have throughout the pandemic. Continue to align to the new New York State PE learning standards, and then continuing the process with the intramural planning and new programs.
So I'm not sure if you guys want to, stop here and we'll take any questions about health and phys ed, or we can continue on and do athletics.
I actually love that idea. I kind of missed the segue between health and phys ed. I was actually in my mind planning to do health and then phys ed. So I really appreciate your slowing us down so that we can do that. So I would recommend that we start actually with any questions folks have on health in particular, and then we'll move on into phys ed, if that's okay. So let's, as always, one question at a time. Board Member Krejci has her hand up. Go ahead, Ellen.
I just wanted to thank you for the excellent presentation. And this is going to be perhaps patting ourselves on the back a little bit, but I'm so proud of us as a district and as a community that we've had this partnership with Planned Parenthood for so long, and that our community is supportive of it. We're just so lucky thinking of it in that sense, and thinking of the prior presentation with the 1619 project used in our curriculum. I'm so proud of our community for supporting these types of excellent programs. I do want to know, I would really encourage, I know that the Know Your Body curriculum, ever since I joined the board 7 years ago and was part of the wellness community, people were saying that that was a little bit out of date and wasn't really in touch with our elementary school students. So whenever we can get to something that's more current and more meeting them where they are in this generation, that would be fantastic.
Anyone else with a comment or question on health? Dr. Jrotc.
I saw that you're teaching CPR in grades 9 through 12, which is great. I wish that we could do something even with the middle schools, because there are certain aspects of CPR that it's good for the younger kids to know. Things like the Heimlich maneuver, which is another thing, not CPR related, but because there are situations where the kids might be alone and they could protect themselves and save themselves in those situations, or with their younger siblings, what have you. So if anything you can do to, videos or even if it's not hands-on training, I understand there's logistics involved in that. That information will be useful for the middle school students.
Yes, thank you.
Board Member Mann.
Dr. Jrotc, I actually, I want to second what you just said. It also for in older 8th grader or someone going into 9th grade makes them employable as a babysitter if they are CPR trained. But I would like to say that this is a great presentation, and you had me at Rockwall edition. That is, how cool is that? So that's absolutely fabulous to see all the wonderful things that are occurring in this.
Thank you.
Anyone else on health? Then I will just echo just briefly, because I can't not say it, what Board Member Krejci said about our support for the Planned Parenthood initiative. I know that has been ongoing in the district as long as I can remember, and I really think it's essential and critical in our community that we keep that going, and I really appreciate the commitment. I know there was some reshuffling of the way that was done in middle school, but I know that it's still being offered both at middle school and high school, as it says in the slides, and I think in our community, and I think in every community, that's when it has to be done. High school is really too late. It needs to happen in middle school and then in high school in an age appropriate way. And like Board Member Krejci said, I'm super proud of us that continues for our students. Are we ready to move on to phys ed? All right. Anyone with a comment or question on PE besides the fact that we love the rock wall and would like to do the rock wall someday? It'll be like a board team development initiative. Dr. Jrotc.
thank you again for all the improvements that you've had over the years in these in both health as well as PE. It's amazing all the different programs that are offered now. When I just saw the thing about the basketball camp, and we have to. The more opportunities these kids have to burn their energies and learn the foundational skills in these sports, when they grow up and go into the high school, they become more competitive. They can spend more time in enhancing the level of skill that is required to compete, rather than spend their time learning the fundamentals at that level. And then then it becomes frustrating when you don't meet that competitive level. The other thing that I would like to see is your division to work with teachers or whatever, whether it's a lunch program or to bring people from the outside in careers like kinesiology, sports medicine. So even the kids who are interested in STEM see their association with PE, and the kids who are PE athletes also see that STEM is useful, and that's something that is something close to what they do anyways. It might make some connections there and help them decide on their careers. That's just a comment that I have. Thanks.
Anyone else on PE? Board Member Krejci. I realized I forgot to mention this, but in my personal life, when I'm not on the board, I've been lucky enough to be able to take some adult classes with 15 Love Tennis, and I remembered that the director approached me and said, yes, you're on the school board. Do you have connections with such and such elementary school or whatever? Because we'd really like to get in more elementary schools. So they run a fantastic program, and they're really looking to get in more Albany schools. They just don't know the people to talk to make that happen. So they would really love to talk to you.
I will add to that, Ellen. Our coach, Anthony Omoragban, our boys and girls tennis coach, he does have a great relationship with 15 Love, and it is in some of our schools. And that's like an easy partnership that we've always actually had with them. It's, the biggest problem is the pandemic. Like that, we're just letting folks in to the district and into our schools and stuff. But that will be a part of our plan, especially now that Myers tennis courts are open. We have 2 sets of tennis courts, so we can actually really expose kids. And also in the Suburban Council, we've talked about doing what we call an extramurals friendship league, which would allow kids in grades 6 through 8 to participate, learn tennis, and then be able to compete in a more friendly way against other students. So that is something. It's hard for us to capture everything until people bring it up, but we do a lot of great things and have a lot of great partnerships and do our best to get it around everywhere.
That's great. Yeah, I remember that they were in DCS when my son was there, and it was a good experience with kids. So thanks. So that's a nice segue to the thing I want to celebrate most. Well, several things that I love about this presentation, but in particular, I want to celebrate the intramural aspect of it. As a person who did not consider myself athletic until the end of my college experience. This is my personal story that I did not believe that I was athletic because I had not had very good exposure to athletics, even in school, and certainly not at home. And then my life changed, and now I realize I'm actually competent athletically. I actually thought it was me, but it was just lack of exposure. So seeing intramurals, which would have been a possibility for me when I was a kid, in a way that varsity sports was just not a possibility for me as a kid, I think is just wonderful. And we have so many students, and only a few of them are ultimately going to play varsity on any given sport. So having more intramurals is both a feeder to varsity and a joy of athleticism in and of its own right. So I really appreciate your commitment to that. And then I also just wanted, I'll make this one real quick, to recognize and give you the recognition of the bringing in the Pride Center to talk about gender issues and gender neutrality. I think it's a really critical thing, and I'm really happy to hear that you had done that because it's really important in Albany to make sure that we're having those conversations, because there's tons of kids in our school who are non-binary and or define themselves in some unique way. And so I appreciate you taking the initiative to do that. Anyone else on PE before we move on to athletics? Seeing none, we turn the floor back over to you, Ms. Chappell.
Okay, thank you. So the next step we're going to talk about is the athletics program. And what I decided to do was take what we did in 2016 and kind of show where we were and where we are and where we're going. So just real basic, we're the third largest school in Section 2. So we're the third out of 94 schools. Shenandoah is first, Schenectady is second. We offer a variety of sports for boys and girls, and many times we do have some co-ed teams if it allows, which in athletics it's called mixed competition. And then we also have, which is, I think we're one of the, I forget the term right now, but basically we allow our students who are non-binary or gender conforming to also participate in athletics with no issues, because our district does respect the choices that our students want to make. And it goes very well with how we are able to be inclusive in physical education. And I will add that since the pandemic, we've been able to add unified bowling, which now we have 2 unified teams, bowling and basketball. And if you didn't know, we have unified champions. We have 2 years of that. So we're definitely providing more access and opportunities to all students and not just to some. So the average participation has slightly increased over the years. The winter is obviously affected from the pandemic. That was huge, not to be able to offer as many sports and opportunities to students. And that included modified, because in with modified basketball for boys and girls, we have 3 middle school teams, so 6 total, and then 3 teams at the high school, which would be 12 teams total in the district. So those numbers definitely have dropped, as well as not having wrestling and trying to build that back up. You know, that 1 year off definitely hurt us. But we have had an increase in participation in spring sports. And I would definitely say our track team for modified and varsity has increased significantly. And I also think, you know, that was kind of one of the, you know, the pandemic was a bad thing, but it also kind of pushed kids to actually want to get out and do something. Like, you lose something and you don't ever want to lose that again. So we definitely have more kids participating in the spring sports, which is a great problem to have. Our mod baseball team had 50 kids come out for the team. Who would have thought that we would have that many kids for one baseball team? So definitely the numbers are increasing. And then we have our breakdown, which it's going to be almost 50-50 based on the results that we have. So our performance is overall from 2016 to now, we have basically a 32% overall winning percentage. And in our league, we're at a 30%. What I'd like to draw your attention to is the breakdown by season. So from back on 2016, that's when Kathy presented on the sports. We were in the Big Ten. So we had a 52% league winning percentage in the fall, 60 in the winter, 48 in the spring. Once we entered Suburban Council, which is in 2016, we dropped to 44% overall winning percentage and a 30% league winning percentage. So we are in the toughest league in Section 2. And as you can see, even with, like, we do have a lot of individual success and some teams, but as a program, we have a lot of work to do. Even in the winter, we're at a 42% league winning, and in the spring, we're at a 14% winning rate, where again, we were closer to 50% or more back when we were in the Big Ten. So we weren't dominating, but we were competing. Our budget, this is our budget over time, and it's just the coaches and other expenses. It does not include sports supervision, which is another big portion of our budget. But as you can see, where we are, where we're going, and hopefully continue to do as we build our program and kind of show you some of the things that we have accomplished and some of the things that we want to do, and the need for additional resources, even if it's not in these big buckets, but more in like equipment, stuff. And when I say equipment, I mean the finance word equipment and not sporty equipment. I don't know if you guys get confused with that like I do. So again, in 2016, these are the 11 things that Ms. Kathy Ryan identified as goals and areas of improvements for us. As of today, you know, a few of these goals have been achieved, but we still have a ways to go in making sure that, you know, we increase our coaching stipends. As you'll see, and as you saw in even John's presentation, we're doing a lot more intramurals. More often, we have more kids participating. And so that also means we need more adults supervising and coaching, as well as instructing our kids. And also our kids are going further. They are, especially with these individual sports and some of our team sports, they could use more instruction, and more instruction is what's going to also help us to compete in the suburban council. And like that's the league level is numero uno, and then we're going up to sectionals and states and regionals. But it's not just going to happen by chance. It's going to come from quality instruction that I do believe our coaches can definitely provide, and they do more than any of us could ever imagine, because they understand what we need to do to get done. The biggest need is, and if you have kids that participate in these sports, is baseball and softball fields. We need our baseball team has not had a place to practice. Our varsity baseball team has not had a space to practice in years. They practice in a gym. So that is something that we really are working on, because at the end of the day, you can't have expectations of success if we're not even provided the basic facilities to even be able to practice. But they did get a batting cage. So we do have a batting cage that has been used as soon as it was available, and it continues to be used. We outfitted the weight room at North Albany. So the pandemic has really allowed us to do some things differently. So we were able to move weight room equipment from a Brooklyn and get it in a bigger facility for more access for teams. So we're not all trying to pile into the Albany High weight room. The pool is online now. That happened at the beginning of this year for both boys and girls swimming, and for modified, we got the new tennis courts, and then the Myers courts just opened last month. So we do have some more opportunities, but the biggest need, and it has been for a while now, is district baseball and softball fields. And of course, you know, we do need our tutors and academic coordinators, because with much success comes greater opportunities. And so we do have kids that have the potential to be recruited probably more than ever. I just got word from my football coach, who heavily follows his kids around, that one of our student athletes just qualified for states and was only a sophomore in track. So we have kids doing awesome things, and we want to make sure that they don't have any barriers to why they can't continue their education for free at the next level. Sorry. So in just 2 years, we were able to accomplish a whole lot. I live by the term, if there's a will, there's a way. We figure out a way to make it happen. No doesn't exist to me. We'll figure it out at some point. So these are many of the things that we were able to do with, especially once we were able to kind of get back to some normal spending or some spending at the end of the year. So the majority of the sports were able to get things that they needed. The 5-man sled, you should see the one we had, but we got a brand new 5-man sled for football, for tackling. We have pitching machines for baseball and softball, throwing machine for baseball, a ball machine for tennis. Like, just imagine having those brand new tennis courts and you're like bouncing one ball at a time to each student, where you have this machine that's going to shoot them out to them. The volleyball now has a hitting machine. All varsity programs got brand new uniforms, either this year or last year. Modified programs, with the exception of 3, have brand new uniforms. Actually, we just got our girls lacrosse uniforms in today. We got Baseball has really nice uniforms, and softballs are on its way. Every varsity sport that requires warm-ups, they all were able to get warm-ups. We got department book bags for the students. When I say department, that means that the kids use them for the season, they give them back so that we have them. When you go to other schools, you see how all their kids are uniform. They got the same uniform, same jacket, same sneakers. And many of times their parents are affording that, where we're trying to provide that similar type of experience. It won't be the same, but it'll be similar. And then we also got baseball and softball specific bags. We've been doing a really good job of trying to brand ourselves and get the school spirit up. You know, we talk about Albany proud, Albany strong. And so we have the face mask, and everybody wants what we have, and that's what we want. We want to know that people want to be a part of our program. Other accomplishments, which would be our in-district and out-of-district opportunities. So inside the district, 8 of our varsity programs have been running intramurals and workouts since January 2021. That's when we were like officially able to start workouts. We couldn't participate in high-risk sports, but we were able to start workouts, and the coaches jumped on it. They followed every single COVID regulation we needed to have in place to maintain safety. We did a summer youth flag football last summer. Varsity football team did a team camp for middle and high school kids. That's the first time we've held our own. And as John mentioned, we did do the wrestling. We've done girls soccer. And as I told you, we started the unified bowling team that came out of the pandemic. We couldn't do basketball, so bowling was the next safest sport to do, and we were able to do that. Out of district, we were able to get our kids signed up for different camps in the summer. It's very important for us to maintain that camaraderie and provide them with opportunities. So got girls and boys basketball, as well as, and I'm sorry, it's not listed, but girls lacrosse, they all went to Albany camps last summer or had the opportunity to send at least 5 students, because my goal is to provide opportunities to everyone. But unfortunately, due to funding, we can't send every single kid in the program, but we can start to kind of share that wealth. But then we also have other clinics that football was able to go to where they participate in 7-on-7 leagues, which is only going to make them stronger. The more opportunities they have to play and learn is going to help grow that program. They go to a combine where the kids can be evaluated on their speed and agility and their skills and get looks from college coaches and stuff. And then it's called the Big Uglies, but it's a lineman challenge camp, again, for more of our other position players in football. So we continue to provide these opportunities. I know this weekend football's participating in another 7-on-7 league, and boys basketball later on this month is participating in elite camp with Albany coach Killings. And I bet you thought the accomplishments were going to end. It seems like we filled up every single day in the 2 years with something. We have a lot of great technology improvements. So we use Final Forms with, we've talked about a couple of times, but Final Forms is probably the best thing we could have ever invested in. It allows for parents to sign their kids up for sports more easily. It opens up the lines of communication between the nurses, the coaches, the parents. Many of our coaches communicate through Final Forms so that they can send program information out. It allows us to track attendance, and it gives us the data that, typically this board is looking for. We can pull it from Final Forms, and I'll show you in the next slide just how beautiful the graphics are, thinking about what Mr. Alminwai said in terms of looking at beautiful graphs. We've also got the Huddle Athletic Package, and what that did is it provided every single sport that they offer, we offer, that is a team sport, the opportunity to not only film our game, but we can share the film. It makes highlights for the students. So with a click of a button, they type their name in, and boom, here's your highlight from all the games that they participated in. It provides stats, and it allows the kids and the coaches to send film to college coaches. So it has really helped to level the playing field for, again, opportunities for our student athletes to be able to have something similar. And actually, this provides them the same opportunity as our suburban counterparts. We just recently got Go Gipper. If you notice, some of our graphics have changed and become very standardized, but it's amazing because it allows us to get more information out quickly. So with Go Gipper, you know, we can send out cool graphics with cancellations and everything else. So that was an awesome grab. And then John already spoke about platform, and that's the next thing we're trying to do with our brand new weight room that we'll be getting at the high school. Is to be able to provide our students with instruction. So when they're in Phys Ed, they can do their workouts that their coaches want them to focus on, or what their Phys Ed teacher wants to focus on, and keep track of that. One of the biggest thing I'm very proud of is that we live streamed in the pandemic at least one home game of every competition. We figured it out. We're out at the tennis match, and you get 5 minutes on this court, 5 minutes on that court. We've done swimming. We even did bowling. And that was a huge accomplishment for us to figure out without having some of the things that we put in place. It's amazing what you can do with an iPad and a hotspot. And then other technology improvements is we do our scheduling for our sports supervisors on Microsoft. So we really took advantage of the Microsoft suite that we have in the district. And then we digitized a lot of our handbooks and reports and stuff, because I think that's important, is efficiency. Having to retype and everything just doesn't allow for efficiency and for us to really get the job done. This is just a quick glance of what the screen looks like on Final Forms. So it can tell me how many students are compliant, how many forms are unsigned, whether it's by parents or students. It also gives us a breakdown of, can you see my little mouse? Gives you a breakdown of athletic participation. So it keeps track of kids who are playing more than 2 sports. It gives us our numbers, our medical reports. And I don't know if you see here, but we've only had Final Forms for 2 years. We've sent out 44,000 emails, notifications. Well, those are notifications, so it kind of automatically does it. So no longer do parents have to remember that their kid's physical is expiring. This is going to tell them. It's going to tell them 30 days, 60 days, you have 5 days. And we've only actually, because this system is so great, we literally only had 40 support tickets for Final Forms, which is absolutely amazing. That just shows how more accessible it is to our families and our students. And then this tells us how many kids, new athletes, have signed up or updated information. So it's actually really great. We do keep attendance for our sports. That was something big, especially in COVID, so we could contact trace. We didn't use the COVID screening because that was a little invasive, and we had our own internal method in the district, but some tried. And then we also have all of our documents and stuff, and we're starting to use it because, again, Final Forms have so much that it can offer. We've started to put inventory in there so that we can keep track of uniforms and stuff, because we don't have that ability to purchase new uniforms every year, and we don't need to. If we take care of them, we can keep them on the 3-year cycle that we're on right now. This is just a quick snapshot of the intramurals data that we offered, so you can kind of see it by sport, and I'm sure you guys have a packet. We had an average of 13 to 14 kids participating, but like a sport like volleyball, they had tons of kids. Like we literally had to separate them because there were so many 6th graders participating in intramurals. And that, you know, sparked to us like, hey, it might be too late to do a freshman team, but that is definitely something we need to do for the 23-24 school year, because we already have 2 modified teams. So we're going to definitely need a 3rd squad at the high school. And with the new construction, we did build in so that there's 3 volleyball courts, because the sport is really taken off, and our coaches do an awesome job with those students. And then, of course, as you can see, these are all the sports that have participated in intramurals. And there are some who do intramurals and don't get paid for it. They just do it. Just give them the gym and they make it happen. So some of those are not accounted for either. But that's something, again, new that we are going to be able to track on Final Forms, is kids can sign up. Information is there. So I just wanted to highlight, just so we don't forget, the amazing things that have happened thus far. We're still not finished because we do still have track going on in tennis. But we have Anna Flanders with her state and sectional championship. We have girls basketball with their 2nd sectional championship under Coach Decky Lawson. We have Elon Kligerman, who was a Class A champion and finished 5th in Section 2 in 110 weight class. And again, I just want to point out, this is only for the 2 years that I've been in leadership. I did not include all of our success. I like to capture the 2 years because it's so important to talk about what we were able to do and how much we can do as we continue to get more support. Boys soccer won their 2nd grade divisional championship. Boys basketball won their 1st ever grade divisional championship since we joined the league. That was huge. And then tennis, boys tennis has clinched themselves a grade division championship as well. And we have Masami participating in states now. Individual successes, I think most notable is Neil being able to participate in states and finishing 21st in the entire state, which is awesome. Isaiah Austin getting co-MVP. He also scored over 1,000 points, and he doesn't know it, but he broke a lot of school records. So it's time for us to get those banners up so that people can see the talent that we truly do have in the district, in the history of success that we have in the City School District of Albany in athletics. Another big thing, Delon bowled a perfect game. And Delon is a basketball player, but he doesn't know he's a bowler. And he was able to play 4 sports last year because of the extra season. So because basketball and bowling didn't coincide, he starts bowling and just, here's a perfect game, not a problem. And then goes on and plays basketball. So we have so many multi-talented kids that hopefully we are going to allow them to play 2 sports in the future. Anna's another one who, we'd love for her to be able to cheer and do swimming at the same time, which I do want to point out. She did cause a ruckus in Section 2 when she swam with the boys last year. It's tough to come in 2nd or 1st and people want to actually support you. So that was an awesome opportunity for her. And then we got our freshman like Azira Gates, who was named a sectional all-star. Like, that was huge. She's in 9th grade, so you can only imagine what the future is going to look like. And you got Shania Edmonds, who's a junior, who also is breaking barriers. And we have Alex Dola, who plays ice hockey. He also does baseball, but he leads the section in goals saved for ice hockey. Liv Nebo has set a school record for boys and girls in terms of the number of goals scored in a season. And as we know, we've been struggling with lacrosse in terms of the results, but we do have kids getting success. And so like Matt Tripany, he leads boys lacrosse in goals saved in 1 game. He's at 21. And I didn't want to go through all the all-star teams and stuff with the Daily Gazette, the Times Union, Suburban Council, because we'd be here forever. But I did want to highlight the kids listed here and the successes, again, that we were able to have in 2 years, despite all the challenges. One sec, sorry. So opportunities for improvement. As I discussed earlier, we acquiring a high school regulation baseball and softball field. It's the only sport without a home on or near district property. Ideally, it'd be great if we utilize Breverwick, develop that partnership with the city of Albany to turn that into a quality baseball, softball field. An assistant athletic director. And again, we're being very specific and to say an assistant athletic director. Because granted, we're able to do what we're doing, but just imagine if we had more hands on deck to help support our programs and get out and support our kids and get those pictures out and celebrate them on social media. I'm sure at least Dr. Shator, he reads the comments when they're like, what about modified? What about JV? And it's like, hey, I'm one person. I can't get to every single sport every single day. So having an assistant athletic director would not only just provide more opportunities to highlight our student athletes, but it would also give our coaches an opportunity for us to really start to hone in on the things that we're trying to do with each individual program as we build our program all together, the athletic program. An increase in coaching stipends, well-deserved. And I understand, obviously the budget's the budget, but for future reference, definitely an increase in coaching stipends and increasing the number of coaches per team. That's also important. You know, if think about, would you want 50 middle school kids as a coach? You know, we want to keep them all, but we do need to make sure it's manageable. And again, the more coaches we have, the more opportunities we open up, and the better instruction and individualized instructions kids can get, because we're going to lower that ratio. Full-time groundskeeper is a need, and something that Kathy identified as well. We have a lot of, it's kind of weird because we say we don't have enough green space, but when it comes to mowing lawns and stuff, we have plenty between the athletic fields and the school buildings. And, or we could just put turf everywhere and that would solve our grounds problem. So I'm full support of that turf over at Eon. And then we have drainage issues down in our bowl field and our youth soccer field and the back of Hackett. Again, if you just want to throw turf there, that works. Throw that in our next capital project. But if not, and in the meantime, those facilities do need better drainage because it becomes a safety hazard when you're talking about the mud, the puddles, the divots and stuff that are in there. And due to the lack of green space that the district has for sports, we have to do a lot of sharing, and we're practicing under the lights. Like we have a lot of, in the fall, we have 3 soccer teams at the high school level, 2 football teams, 2 girls soccer teams. And just imagine we have it between the hours of like 3 and 8, or not 3 and 8, 4 and 8 because of the late start. That's a lot to try to get in. And again, if we want quality instruction and opportunities for our kids, we have to provide them those facilities and abilities. And again, we do what we can with what we got, but definitely an investment into our green spaces that provide athletic and phys ed opportunities. Because I don't know if you know, but I don't play in the dirt, and neither do most of our kids, especially if we have our great sneakers on. We don't want to get them muddy, but we will play on the turf because all you do is wipe the pebbles off, but we don't do mud. It ruins your sneakers. So that is the end of my presentation. I will take any questions that you guys have.
Thank you very much, Athletic Director Chappell. We really appreciate your enthusiasm for our kids and for the work that you're doing. And in particular, all of the guidance you've been giving to try and increase the quality of instruction and make athletics as educational and successful as it can be. So we really appreciate all of your work. Board colleagues, who has first question? Board Member Wilson.
Thank you for your presentation. It just, as I was listening, I was thinking about the aspect of health and athletics being very much a function of social emotional learning, as you described, as it sort of played out in the presentation. Also, it's heartening to see the growth in athletics, and I think that's also very much a function of a healthy school system. It's one aspect of it. We have many components. We have music, we have arts, and of course we have athletics, so that's positive. I just had questions on the opportunities for improvement. One is sort of, well, they're both ideas actually. I know that the baseball and softball fields is something that was brought to our attention, and we are investigating on the facilities. And I do know I stumbled across that the NFL actually supports communities and schools with football fields. I'm just curious if there's something in that arena, perhaps, something along those lines in grants or something for baseball and softball fields. And the other question about the drainage issue, and not that I know a lot about drainage, but I do know that some communities implement things called rain gardens, which aid in the soaking up and distribution of water into the cycle. And again, not my wheelhouse, but I'm just curious if that's something we can look into that'll help us.
Yeah, that's not really my area of expertise anyway. Absolutely. Either. But yeah, I'm not sure, again, just thinking of the words rain and gardens and athletic fields. Not sure if a garden would fit in that area, but it is a definite need. We do look for grants anytime that Eileen Leffler. Oh, that's what's not in the slides. Oh yeah, we got grants. We won grants. Remember, we got the $10,000 from the New York Giants. And so you know, when it came to football helmets versus maybe fixing the field drainage, we had to go with what was needed, and it was the 55 football helmets that we needed to replace. So yeah, we do look for grants and stuff, but that unfortunately with this kind of problem in our area, it's going to take more than like a grant. Like it's a huge investment. My goal is to, and I've talked to the superintendent about it. I just met with Jonathan Jones with Parks and Rec, is finding a partnership that benefits all of us. They just got a new person in their department. He replaced Justin Atlas. He's a baseball minded guy, which is awesome because hopefully we can revitalize, again, in a partnership between us, the county, and the city. We can, you know, put our resources together. We can have a quality baseball practice facility. The goal is to get it closer to Albany High School. And the reason for that is, as you may all know, transportation. And again, someone like Dr. Shator, even, and you have high school students, right? Yeah, you guys get my emails like, hey, we had 2 buses today. We did what we can. We made it work. It was not pretty, but we made it work. So the closer our facilities are, the easier it is for our kids to be able to get there for practices. And we don't have to sacrifice like, hey, we have games today, so you can't practice because we can't provide transportation. And this is a nationwide problem, but it hit us very hard this year. And so it's important for us to try to find facilities or repurpose our facilities so that all kids have to do is walk out the door and go to their practice, and we don't have to worry about, you know, walking to games or walking to practices and stuff like that.
Dr. Chatur.
Every presentation, it's just amazing, more and more. The more you give us, the more I'm going to keep asking. So, but
Me too.
Right? It's all good. You know, all these successes, I don't think would be possible without the support from our community partners, like PAL. You know, they run the basketball program in the elementary schools, and that gets those kids interested. Albany Youth Soccer, Albany Soccer Club. I mean, our team last year was great, right? The year before was awesome. So this is all because of these kids who come up from those lower levels. The Just Run program, we just had a meet yesterday. That's another great program. It gets these kids interested in running and track. And we all know that the rising rates of obesity and all of those things, how important just moving about is so important. And introducing these kids to these healthy habits through these sports, all in favor. Me running, I don't know, but you know, Neil running, I'm all for it. The problem with the baseball not having a field, that is a serious problem. And I'm glad that the city is talking with us and we're trying to explore options. Meanwhile, I don't know, some of these things may take longer than necessary. I mean, you talked about acquisition of different technologies. Have you considered acquiring technology for baseball pitching or hitting, you know, like the Rhapsody system or something? It's not horribly expensive. I mean, it's expensive for in a small group, but not too expensive. And that would give you the ability to look at your pitching and practice your pitching and hitting skills in a room. And I mean, they do it at Frozen Ropes or let's see, All-Star Academy. So that might be something that we could, you know, as a stopgap, even in winter, when you can, even if you had a green field, it's loaded with snow in the Northeast, so you could practice those things in a confined space. The track, I mean, having an FAT system would be great. I mean, that would give kids even more experience to the real invitational level. And then you talked about using the iPads. You can't be at every place, but maybe we can recruit some of the parents, or more importantly, we could recruit the students. Right? We have a Falcon Nest newspaper, and we have students who want to get into journalism. Hey, what better opportunity? Go to a meet and do coverage. You know, learn about publishing an article about it or something. There are creative ways in which I think we can solve some of these things. But you know, kudos for all the achievements. I'll stop there.
Thank you. I will tell you that, yes, we would like an FAT timing system. We would love to have that, you know, radar gun and the analysis, but we know what that means. That means we need money. We need more financial money, because that's a necessity. That's not a necessity. That's a want. And so we have to, like, right now, we need a baseball field. We can do all the practice of pitching and batting indoors that we want, but without practicing in a space that you are going to participate on, like, that's like our basketball team playing in the grass, and then, you know, we're gonna go out on a court and win a championship. It's probably not gonna happen because you can't practice dribbling on grass. So we have, and that was part of the outside opportunities. Prior to the pandemic, we did pitching lessons for softball. That's something that we're hoping to start up again with the Sienna coach. So the next step, and this is something I actually had the opportunity to talk to the varsity baseball players about, is you guys do a lot of fundraising. Let's start putting that money into opportunities. And that's when they told me about the whole all-star thing. But it's something you have to do in the winter because they have their programs in the summer. So if there's anything that you learn about me, is I don't believe in waiting. We're going to make it happen. One way or another, we are going to make it happen because our kids have no more time to wait. As we take our time, they are graduating. And so, yeah, it's great to be able to have that impact in the future. I'm a millennial. They're like, what, Gen Z or something? We like things like this. We don't, it's like, oh, all right, how are we going to make that happen? And so those are some of the things that we will definitely be putting in next year's budget to try to make happen. In the meantime, while we figure out, you know, the whole facility situation for baseball. But I do like that idea because we know that the pitchers in baseball and softball and the quarterback in football is our bread and butter. If you don't have the best there, it makes it very hard to compete, let alone win games. And one of the most competitive leagues around, Suburban Council, they're sending kids professionally out. And I know that we could do the same with the same access and opportunities that they have.
Board Member Smith.
Ms. Chappell, Coach Chappell, listen, it was a pleasure listening to you and also your colleague there presenting, so thank you very much. And I had thoughts of thinking, imagining you on a sort of sports talk show in particular. So maybe, you know, Dr. Shatura talks about, you know, the media, the journalism aspects. So perhaps, Coach Chappell, in your spare time, you could create a show at the high school that your youngsters are involved in. But, you know, leave that to you. But I wanted two things. One, I also wanted to commend you on something, and I know that this is something that just a characteristic of you. I wanted to say that sitting here listening to you talk about your students, like I know you know these kids, you know, and I don't think, I don't want to understate that. I mean, that's what we all hope that our teachers are doing, is getting to know their youngsters. But I really appreciate not just hearing their names, but as you were talking, I'm like, wow, you know, there's something I'm learning about this youngster, and what's driving him or her. And, you know, I'm just excited to hear, you know, how personal it is for you, but also at the same time, building this, you know, this system for them. And then I can't, you know, I don't have any ideas other than I was thinking about a couple things for the softball or baseball field. You know, I'm glad to hear that the city is, that there's a great partnership with, you know, the rec commissioner, and perhaps, you know whether we could do something with the Field of Dreams, you know, helping to participate in that function. I started thinking about, you know, I hate the idea that we gave up Livingston so long ago, but, you know, I think we still have some of that property, right, in the front of the building that is owned by the city. Well, I know there's a lot of property in the back. Could we swap and maybe have a field in the back, and there probably is parking? I don't know. I'm just imagining stuff. Like you, Ms. Chappell, I think we just have to find a way. Yes, will take some money, but I think if we can find a way to create an opportunity for more activity for our students as well as for community. That's great. So again, just kudos and thank you so much for your presentation tonight.
No, thank you, Vicki. I appreciate it. And I will say, you know, one day I was having a conversation with Ron Lesko, and next thing you know, he's out at every single park in the city. He's like, all right, so I was over at Breverwick and I was over at, you know, Richfield, and, you know, I looked at this and I was like, wow, like, I appreciate that, because I don't know much about, you know, fields. I know what we need, but that also helped to start that conversation with this, not start, because I have a great partnership with the city, with Jonathan Jones, and we still are doing lifeguarding and stuff like those. We just make things happen, and so know that even if it's not on the slides, we're getting it done. So I do appreciate that, and I'm hoping that we can at least start with Bleecker. They've really put some time and effort into Bleecker, because again, you know, Livingston is cool, but again, how do we get the kids in that direction when most of the buses is coming from that way and going to the high school? And so it's a logistical thing, but if we can definitely at least start with getting access to Bleecker for practice and games over at Mary, that's a good start.
Yeah, Bleeker's perfect too. So I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
great.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Board Member Albany.
Thanks, Ms. Chappell. Just want to first commend you and your leadership, and say that I'm extremely proud of our athletic department, the coaches, the students, the athletes themselves. I mean, every day you see something new and great about whatever team it is. As you said, we have almost 100 teams or something like that. And, you know, I want to touch on something that a colleague, Board Member Wilson, said about the social, emotional benefits of sports. And just bear with me because it's a little personal story. I wrestled and I did football and I did intramural basketball through like 9th grade. And my father was okay with that as long as I was getting A's. Didn't get the A's that he wanted in 9th grade. And essentially I wasn't given the signature, aka your dashboard, to join those sports. And I'm telling you, I still haven't forgiven him for it. I still haven't, because it sent me on a different direction that was not good. So without getting too many details about that, it's so important. So important. We have to find a way that we can get our students that, you know, might be at risk involved in sports. It could help them long term. I also wanted to just give a shout out to Coach Porcelli, the wrestling coach, because you guys did a wrestling clinic, and Sammy, my son, and I was there with him, but he enjoyed it thoroughly. There's a lot of kids there that really enjoyed it. So again, you guys are doing a great job. Just wanted to also say shout out to Jonathan Jones. I sit on a different board with him, and I know his commitment to the youth of this city. So whatever you need to do to make magic happen between, you know, Department of Rec and city and us, please do so. And thank you so much for, again, your leadership and all of the staff in the athletic department.
Thank you.
Board Member Mann.
Hello, Ms. Chappell. That was a wonderful, wonderful presentation. I want to talk a bit about your engagement skills. The way that you engage with young people is really second to none. I remember sitting with you in a park at a community event, and And he said, "Oh, your last name's such and such. Oh, I know your daughter. You know, and you knew my kid. You knew she swam, and you really had this way of speaking with her and many of her friends about, well, this is what you can do if you go to college, and you can try this and you try that." And I've always really appreciated that, to the point where I have a just turned 13-year-old niece who now lives in Albany, and she's like 6 feet tall, and said, she's 5'10", and said, "I like volleyball." And I'm like, "I need to introduce you to," so. And it's wonderful seeing so when we talk about engagement, it's wonderful seeing the explosion of intramural sports and the participation that's happening at the 6th and 7th grade level and 8th grade level. It really is fantastic. So, so thank you for your commitment to our children, and thank you for just this wonderful presentation.
So I wouldn't be myself if I didn't tell you that we have a girls basketball clinic happening this Saturday. It's free at Ash, 9 a.m. registration, 9:30 start. We have a guest basketball coach, the women's coach at St. Rose, Whitney Edwards. Please make sure your niece is there, because I just want you to know she's going to get recruited. Like height, she's going to be volleyball, basketball, and lacrosse. Like that's just what we're doing. Like she has no choice. So just get on board with us and we will lead her through. We do accept kids of all heights because obviously I'm 5'1" and I played sports, but those 5'10" kids, they don't come by every day. So definitely please make sure she's at our camp, and it doesn't matter if she doesn't like basketball or knows nothing about it. We'll make that happen.
Board Member Krejci. Ms. Chappelle, thanks for your presentation. I really appreciated the enthusiasm with which you presented both your accomplishments in the department and also the students' accomplishments in the program. It's really fantastic that the kids have so many opportunities here in the city, and I appreciate the work we've gone through, the work that we've gone to as a district to make those sports and opportunities available to all kids, whether it's intramurals for kids whose skills may still be at the beginner level, to taking away any financial contribution on the part of the parents. My son joined modified swimming last year, perhaps the first person in my family in generations to participate in an athletic sport. So I'm very proud of him. But I was expecting to I was like, oh, I got to find my checkbook because I'm going to have to write a check for your suit. And nope, he just came home with a brand new Falcon suit. No, I had to pay for nothing. I think I chipped in for the pizza at the end. But I was amazed that and it makes me appreciate what we have here in Albany, that parents don't have that obstacle. It's really great, and I appreciate the work you're going to make more things available. And I also kind of wonder what a sled is, because at first I thought that you guys
Googled
were expanding
it. I
into
Googled it during the meeting.
I Googled it before the meeting because I was like, are they expanding into luge? But whatever those guys do with it, keep up the good work. So we'll continue supporting you.
Yeah, it's literally a sled. It has 5 pads on it that look like you've probably seen, up at Albany camp or something. And there's 5. You got your 5 defensive men, and they're pushing up against it so that they learn to go in unison. And you can't tackle every single day in football. It's not safe. So, but you can do it with a dummy, is the term. Again, I'm happy your son had a great experience. I just want you to know he's going to have to be a swimmer for life because Rosie will not let him go anywhere else. So I hope you're ready for a fun-filled 5 years probably of swimming.
So my only remark is to thank you on the communications and data side. I really want to appreciate so much the implementation of Final Forms. I cannot tell you every single season I have been involved in this district until Final Forms, there was somebody complaining about something. This one got lost and they got to practice. They can practice. It's like it vanished. It's gone. Like now, whatever happens, it's perfectly smooth and there's no more complaining about that particular thing. So I really, really appreciate it. And to me, it's really, it's an example of the kinds of things we're doing throughout the district where we're using technology to make things better and to reduce the friction so that the coaches can coach and that the teachers can teach rather than having to chase paperwork. And that's what it's about. And that's why those systemic important improvements are really about kids. I know people think they're like dry and boring, but they're about kids because they release these staff from doing these high friction activities and allow them to do what they love to do. And on that same note, I noted your really data-driven slides. I really appreciated that. And I look forward to seeing, year by year comparisons as we see those win rates go up and all the other changes that I know that you're looking to do. And I love, which I think was from that Go Gipper. Is that what it's called?
Go Gipper.
I noticed
Yep.
that you've been promoting, like, here's the times for all of the games on Facebook. And to me, that's like a super great way to build school spirit, because prior to that, like, you really had to look to find out what time is the lacrosse. If I wanted to go see the boys lacrosse game, I'd have to go hunt one down. Now it's like, oh, look, here's when they're playing. And I really think that was a really great, very small, but really helpful school spirit driving change. So thank you for all those data and communication things. And Ms. Smith.
And that, I was going to say, that reminds me, I have an intern who is helping. She's a former student athlete. Her name is Haley Hart. She wanted to intern. I said, let's go. So she's been helping us out, and she's learning so much. And that's why, again, I hit home with that assistant athletic director, because we can do so much more. And what you probably noticed, especially our spring parents, is we actually were able to get out our cancellations in a variety of ways. Like, you didn't have to guess at 3 o'clock if your kid was coming home, going to practice, if there's a game. So definitely there are resources out there to help us be efficient, but we still need another body or two to really get it going.
Heard and understood. Ms. Smith, I think, wants the last word, unless anybody else needs the last word.
So I'm really just talking out loud, and Superintendent, this may be for you and the district staff as a whole. So what I feel like I've experienced tonight, and probably in some ways wasn't quite making connection, but I'm going back to when you first arrived. I'm going back to the instructional framework. We're back to all of these pieces. And with students at the center. So everything that it was presented tonight really just was a demonstration of that, was evidence of how all of that, how that framework is developing and evolving. And I see it in the culture. In Ms. Chappell, I know in part it's certainly you and the staff, the coaches, but there's and Ms. Bechtel, all of it, there's a shift in things. This is not the same district that I started with when I put my kid through the school system, when I joined the board, etc. And I just wanted to express a general and broad thank you and gratefulness to everyone in this system for this work. I feel like just the data, the presentation, it's got it all kind of floating and coming together. So thank you for bearing with me while I sort of had a little aha moment, which I do frequently, but it was kind of like really nice to go, oh my gosh, I could have had a V8 here, So thank you all very much.
All right, and thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Madam
And now,
President, if I may,
yes, you
just very quickly, Ms. Chappell, please don't go anywhere just yet. I wanted to just take a moment to, as always, when we have our division updates, and taking the time to really see the work within our divisions. And what you see in a little slice of the pie is 1/8 of the big picture, because there are 8 cabinet members that each supervise a tremendous amount of work within the divisions. And to break those down into 8 slices during the year so that you can take a deeper dive into what it really takes to move our district forward at each level. And it is intense work. It is work that we love. When you talk about the enthusiasm that you've heard tonight from Ms. Bechtel, from John Jrotc, and from Ms. Chappell, you hear the love that we have for the work that we do, which makes it very different than clocking in and clocking out to a job. And I think that when I speak on behalf of all of our divisions and our cabinet members, that supervision is not just supervision. It is truly understanding what our students need. I appreciate the comments about how Ms. Chappell knows her students. I appreciate hearing all of that, but most of all, I appreciate what we don't say that I have to say. And what you hear from all of our cabinet members as they come forward and speak on behalf of their divisions, you hear that deep-seated love and commitment, not to me, not to you, not to an ideal, but to the people that are at the forefront of all of our decisions every single day. It is the love and dedication that we have for the students in this district that you hear. I absolutely want to say thank you for acknowledging, over time the transition and seeing those positive things that we are doing to move our district forward. But it doesn't happen alone. It happens with, as you hear me say, these two hands being multiplied by the 8 hands on cabinet, and then all the hands of our administrators and our teachers and our support staff and our families and our students, and also the board. It's all of us working together on behalf of our students to make our district the very best district that it can be. And so with that, I say thank you tonight, Ms. Bechtel, Ms. Chappell, the work that you do, not only just in the curriculum, and John, of course, I don't want to forget you, because that's another thing. I don't know if you guys remember when John was appointed. It really wasn't that long ago. And to see the work that has been able to happen under his leadership, of course, with Ms. Chappell and with Ms. Bechtel, helping to move that forward. I remember when we first started talking about intramurals at the elementary level, and now you're actually seeing that manifest. And then you can see how that connects to the curriculum and the cross-curriculum connections that we have, and connecting those dots. And so all of those things work together. And I just want to thank curriculum, instruction, and professional development, and athletics, and PE, and health tonight for just an outstanding presentation. We appreciate you. We value the work that you do. We know that our students are at the front and the forefront of every decision that is made, and we just appreciate the work that you do. And thank you to the board for recognizing all of the collective efforts that go into moving our district forward. So thank you.
Well, that was a lovely, lovely comment, and I hate to bring us back to mundane matters, but it's now time for committee reports. Anybody have a committee report? Takes stepping us down.
Ms. Savage, do you mind if I just give a quick shout out?
Absolutely not. Ms. Chappell, the floor is yours.
I just got to shout out all the cabinet, because I call and text all of them and they answer. My principal colleagues, I call and text them. We need gym space. Can we use it? They answer the call. And it is because they understand that it's for the kids. It's not for Ashley Chappell. It's for the students. And that's what's most important. And with athletics, we have to work with everyone. So we appreciate all the support, whether it's physical or, it's their job, that we make these things happen for them no matter what. So I do appreciate all the partnerships that we have in the district. Even if you don't want me calling you at 9 o'clock at night, I'm going to call you anyway. So thank you all for your support. I am happy, to have been able to provide this information, and I'm excited to see what we can do, continue to do in the coming year. So thank you. I know it's late.
Thank you very much. Yeah, actually, if you called us at 9 o'clock, that would have been an hour ago. So, hey, that would have been easy. All right. Now, committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report? Dr.
Policy is going to meet on 15th, so nothing. So.
Ms. Smith?
Yes, and facilities committee meets on the 7th. And now, and Ms. Wilson, I do want to speak to you a little bit about that, because I have an airport pickup, and I might call on one of you to start things off with our facilities director. So thank you very much. Okay.
No,
5:45.
5:45. Seeing no other committee reports, any other business for the good of the order? Ms. Smith.
So, Madam President, I'm sure I should have talked to you about this first, but I wanted to, we've been working together as the board on getting our team operations manual together. And so one piece of it that we did pull out specifically has to do with what we had formerly called or currently call the liaison role, where the board has, each member has an assigned school or 2 or 3 that we are sort of responsible for, keeping track of. And we've wanted to take a different approach. And I'm happy to say, Superintendent, that I'm ready to send you that piece. It's just like a one-pager kind of thing, but that piece is, I think, very important because what you're going to, I think the takeaway from it is that we are in this business for all of our schools. We're not simply advocates for this school or that school, but for all of our schools. And but the real thing is that our visits to schools ought not to be something where everybody's sort of getting, oh, here comes the board, we're getting ready for them, let me get a list of, things I want them to consider. But rather what we want to do is to go in almost in part like we are a board member, but like a fly on the wall. We have, policies that we deal with. We have reports and presentations that are given. And what happens when we go in is we ought to be able to see that evidence, just like we have heard tonight. We can see, we can feel, we know what we're doing for kids. We're not there trying to be the boss of anybody. And so we have kind of reshaped that language. Want to share that with you so that you and Cabinet can voice your thoughts on it. And then we will, from there, send it to policy to, execute, concretize, all of those good words. So I wanted to just, put that out. It felt like a good time to make mention of that, given some of the things we're talking about.
Thank you so very much. We will absolutely look forward to that because I know that we have spent some time working with our administrators to get feedback from them in terms of what do you see as that board liaison role. And we were able to kind of shape that. But, again, there's been some challenges with regard to that. And I think that clarity will help, and I look forward to doing that work.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order? Dr. Chittor.
One quick shout out. Next Wednesday at the high school, the students are organizing a blood drive. So if people can, please go there and donate, because if they meet their goals, that these donations help for providing scholarships for our students. So it's got a double impact, right? And you'll be helping somebody else too over there. So thank you.
Dr. Chittor, isn't that appointment? I don't know if you can just walk in. I know.
No, it's preferred. Appointments are preferred.
Okay.
When I checked this morning, there were a whole bunch available.
Great.
Just go to Red Cross and site, look for Albany High, Juneteenth.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Any other business? Seeing none, entertaining a motion to adjourn. Motion by Dr. Chittor, second by Board Member Smith. All in favor? That is unanimous. We are adjourned for 2 weeks. See you in 2.